Hey, we're live. Well, that didn't work. Full monitor on me. Oh, there we go. I think we're working. Wait, where's my I'm happy to be here. It is Monday, May 8th, and literally as I was about to hit go, my camera just went dark. Fortunately for me, I don't know if it was an overheating thing or what kind of issue is going on. But I did have a backup battery, so we just threw that in there. So I don't know if it's a battery issue, an old battery issue, but looks like we're live. I think you can see me. I can see you. I'm watching all of you through the super secret cameras that I've installed in all of your homes, townhouses, apartments, jobs. So I can see you good. I hope you guys can see me all right. But what a way to start a Monday, already just the first tech issue of the week. But we're here. We're live. We made it. I hope you guys had a fantastic weekend. I truly, truly do. What did I get to do myself? I was here. I went to the Bronx Zoo. I don't know if any of you guys were at the Bronx Zoo this weekend, but I was at the Bronx Zoo this weekend, and it was really cool. I got to see a snow leopard. In fact, I got to see two snow leopards, and they're a lot more like built and aggressive than you think they would look. Like they looked very serious. Like they looked like they just got done doing like a hardcore like chess set at the gym. They seem like they're the cats of the animal kingdom that hit the gym. Like they seem like the gym bros of the animals kingdom, if that makes any sense. So saw those. What else did I see there? They had an exhibit called the Mouse House. So I saw like different mice, I guess, from across the entire world. I didn't know there were that many mice to be seen. I saw some giant snakes. You cried in the shower all weekend. You and me both. I mean, my bet against the regional banking sector, I don't know if you guys have seen it in pre-market, has not been going necessarily in my favor. I knew Friday would be rough because it was expected for Apple to beat. Apple did beat. That raised up the whole market. The whole market obviously going up, raised up the whole regional banking sector. And now things, I guess, are looking good in pre-market right now. Things are green, but that doesn't mean it's necessarily going to hold throughout the day. So we have a lot to get into. I do want to talk about some of the developments over the weekend, including the debt limit, what happened in Omaha because the Berkshire Hathaway had their annual shareholder meeting. We could talk about what's going on with Coinbase and the SEC and what's going on with oil. We do have some earnings. We have an important macroeconomic week in general. CPI report comes out Wednesday. PPI report comes out Thursday. Consumer sentiment report comes out Friday. From a seasonal perspective, and I'll show you this every day, but it's already a part of local, so you'll get it there in your email like inbox the night before. But the first 4 days of this week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, slightly favors the Bears. And then Friday, the final day of the week, strongly favors the Bulls. So for this week, I want you to know Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, slightly favoring the Bears. And then Friday, strongly favors the Bulls. And then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, CPI, PPI, and then consumer sentiment in that order. We also have a handful of earnings. We're going to be talking about, I know Palantir comes out, Disney comes out, Roblox comes out, Devon Energy comes out, Occidental Petroleum. So we have some tech plays left over, some consumer sentiment plays, and then also obviously some oil plays as well. So we're going to be talking about all of that. We're going to be talking about the debt limit just because on CNBC, Squawk Box this morning, they did have some political representatives speaking about that. We could talk about what's going on in banking. We have to talk about a couple crypto things. Binance right now, people are a little scared. People are having an issue getting their Bitcoin off of Binance. Sometimes it's being completely shut off. Other times it has like very, very, very high fees to take it off. So over the weekend, there was some negative sentiment to Bitcoin. Pepe's still going strong. It's pulling back off of its all-time high. But I mean, Pepe, just the meme crypto that like just keeps on going and going and going. So there's going to be a lot of things going on. We have a barn cat, mostly takes care of herself. Does she lift? She sounds like a barn cat that really, really rips. YouTube algo hates you this morning. Well, tell it to join the party. I hate me too. I hate me too. I don't know what's going on with the algo. I don't know if you're having an issue finding me or if you guys, like, did you guys not get notifications? Is that what's going on? Who said that? Who said Josh Chu? What is your name? Josh Chu? Josh Chu? Am I saying your name right? So you have a unique name that I don't think I've ever read before. But hey, If you haven't already, destroy the like button and do not forget to subscribe. Like and subscribe on both Rumble and YouTube. If you search Matt Kohrs on either, Kohrs, you'll find me on YouTube. You'll find me on Rumble. Like and sub on both. On YouTube, it helps out with the algorithm. And then on Rumble, it helps out with the battle leaderboard. And subscribing is subscribing. You should be getting notifications whenever we go live or do any of that. So friendly reminder there. And obviously, a shout out to our partners over at Street Beat. I don't know. Oh, wait, is that not working? I guess you guys are getting a free leggings little pitch there from Price Drop Alert or whatever the hell that is. But anyway, shout out to Street Beat, pinned to the top of chat in the description of the video. If you want to have a robo investment advisor where you yourself could do your normal buying and selling of stock, but on top of it, they already have pre-built strategies that do the buying and selling for you, or you could use AI to create your own. You've been here with me. Maybe if we have some time, if you guys are interested in it, we could build more strategies today with AI. You build it in there. It takes a couple minutes. You let it know what you want, and then it will every single week monitor it for you, do the buying and selling. You would just have to approve it. Actually, the ones that we've built here, the one where I'm like, oh, like give me the best strategy ever, it's actually doing really, really well. So shout out to Street Beat. It is pinned to the top of chat. It's in the description of the video. If you want a bonus based on the size of your deposit, anywhere from $5,000 to $5,000 of a bonus, make sure you're using that code MATT, M-A-T-T, when you sign up. Once again, you could download it right to your iPhone, to your Android device, whatever. Download Street Beat, use the code MATT. You're going to have to enter it on the very first page, M-A-T-T, and you could get anywhere from $5,000 to $5,000. Obviously, it's a marketing ploy to get people to come over and check it out, and I'm so happy to stand behind them. Far better than any of these retail-centric brokerages anyone's been using. This is one of the coolest things. I don't think AI is a flash in the pan. I think it's here to stay, and I think we can use it to help bolster our trading success. And the easiest way to do that as of now, it is through Street Beat. Download the app, put in the code MATT, M-A-T-T, and you could get anywhere from $5,000 to $5,000 depending on the size of your initial deposit. So check it out. Once again, it is pinned to the top of chat. First time on my YouTube homepage in like 4 months. Hey, at least I'm on the homepage. At least we made it. I do want to know why this Rumble chat's not working for us. Oh, there we go. There's the Rumble chat. What up, Rumble chat? Here's a quick sneak peek at the market right now. The SPY, it ripped on Friday, sold off a little bit, and now we got right back up to that high level and coming down. We're at 413. Wall, PACW, and KRE are actually all looking strong, which is a dagger to my heart because I'm betting against all of them, but we'll see how that develops. As of now, Dow futures rises slightly to start the week as banks gain, investors look ahead to inflation data. CPI Wednesday, PPI Thursday, and then you're also going to be having consumer sentiment on Friday. As of now, the Dow and the S&P slightly green, the Nasdaq slightly red. Oil making a recovery, especially off of a strong economic report. When there's a stronger labor, report that's released to the public, generally that's going to benefit oil because it could be viewed as demand for oil going up. And obviously, don't forget, not long ago, OPEC and their allies cut the production by OPEC itself was 1.16 million barrels. And then with all the other people who tagged onto it, it got up to 1.6. So from 1.16 all the way up to 1.6, that's how many barrels are being cut per day. Anyway, for this week, CPI Wednesday, PPI Thursday, jobless claims data Thursday, consumer sentiment on Friday. You have 4 Fed members speaking, and obviously we have some earnings as well. If you're looking at earnings after the market closes today, I will be paying attention to PayPal, Palantir, Devon, and Lucid. Not feeling the best about Lucid, actually feeling pretty bearish about it. On Tuesday, we have Airbnb, Rivian, Nikola, Oxy, Twilio, Affirm. I know those are some ones that people in here pay attention to. On Wednesday, we have Roblox, we have Walt Disney. On Thursday, we have JD, Fiverr, and Krispy Kreme. I just like their donuts, so I want to pay attention to what's going on there. I want to make sure that they can continue to make our donuts. And accidentally, I skipped over Robinhood, which will also be reporting on Wednesday, and actually on Tuesday, just to see what's going on in the world of gambling. Now, specifically with respect to today, Monday, May 8th. The Bulls have won this day 44% of the time over the past 25 years, but the profit factor is 0.96. So for the longest time, this was a pretty good bullish trade, but then over the past 3 years, it's actually become a pretty negative trade. This is the equity curve on the chart. So once again, for a while, a nice trend to the upside, but over the past 3-ish years, it's kind of gotten destroyed. So I would say the bias today is neutral because it went from being pretty bullish to now being pretty bearish. So I'm just arguing that they kind of net cancel each other out. So that is the bias of today. And once again, I post all this stuff on localsmacros.locals.com if you are interested. So the main news of last week, well, I can't say it's the main news, but an important piece of news last week was what's going on in the world of regional banks. We know Silvergate blew up. We know SVB blew up. We knew Signature blew up. We know First Republic blew up. And the question now is, okay, what's next? A lot of people are looking at PacWest because they said the classic line that everyone else does of they are considering all options, including a sale, looking for a strategic partner, blah, blah, blah. I think they all use the same PR firm. So looks like PacWest is potentially the next one to collapse. And then after that, people were looking at Western Alliance, and not to rehash history here, but last week they came out and something was similarly said about Western Alliance, and that was reported by the Financial Times. And then a half hour later, they came out and they're like, that's not true at all. In fact, we're going to sue you. So now everyone's like kind of left sitting around thinking, what in the world's going to happen? There's even murmurs that they're going to stop shorting of the regional banking sector. Now, depending on who you believe, JP Morgan, their analyst over the weekend said that they think that's likely. But last week, the SEC says as of now, they have no intention of doing so. So that's kind of confusing. But the main thing you need to know is regional banking has fallen a lot. From that fall, there's been relatively a pretty impressive bounce. We're nowhere near where they used to be, but it is bouncing right now, which just leads me to believe that we might be seeing a bit of a short squeeze here. I think there are people who got a little overzealous with shorts and also put positions, especially too short of time frame put positions, who are right now getting burned. So they're getting out, or maybe they're trying to fix it with getting some calls. And I think we're seeing some volatility to the upside. But overall, I'm still sticking with my thesis. I have not cut my negative short bearish positions on regional banking just because we've seen this before. We saw FRC come out and say, everything's fine, everything's fine, everything's fine. And it turns out it wasn't fine. We saw the Fed say that. We saw the Treasury Secretary say that. We saw the overall government telling us everything is fine throughout the debacle of Signature, SVB, followed by FRC. And I still don't believe them. I think they're bluffing. I don't think things are as fine as they are stating. So that's my thesis. Maybe I'm right. Maybe I'm wrong. Obviously, you got to do what is appropriate for you. I implore you to do your own research. I just want to be transparent with you about all of my positions and my thoughts on said positions. Yellen warns of economic chaos unless Congress raises the debt ceiling. That's the big hubbubaloo right now in the political world of allegedly we're going to run out of money in June, apparently June 1st. So time's ticking away. We have about 3 weeks to apparently we might default. So there is going to be a big fancy schmancy meeting tomorrow, basically between everyone that is going to be able to sway the decision in one way or the other. The best way I could explain this, the TLDR on this situation, is the Democrats, the left-leaning Democrats, very much want the debt ceiling raised with nothing attached to it. They simply want that to be presented as a bill. They vote on it and they say, yes, it goes into law, debt ceiling raised. The Republicans are saying, we'll do that, but we want agreements that you're going to cut down on federal spending. And they're like, well, this is fair because you guys are spending too much and that's actually making inflation worse. And then the Democrats are saying, how in the world would you ever attach something like that? Like, we needed to do this now. It's causing economic uncertainty. There's arguments on both sides. They are already doing their rounds on TV this morning. There's going to be a big meeting tomorrow. So hopefully we get some sort of positive update with that. But I just want to put that on your radar because it could very, very, very much have an impact on what is going on. So I have a couple of videos and clips that we can listen to of that, but I also want you to know what's going on in the world of oil. Coinbase CEO says SEC is on loan crusade, dials back on suggestion exchange may relocate. So not long ago, they got a Wells notice, as in Coinbase got a Wells notice from the SEC. And then they basically hit back and be like, dude, we've been asking you for over a year now to give us clarity on what is and isn't a security, and you haven't said anything to us. And then they actually got the SEC involved and said, hey, make them tell us what's going on. So apparently they have like a week to respond, but it's getting all sorts of messy. The SEC is a bit of an outlier here. There's kind of a loan crusade, if you will, with Gary Gensler, the chair there, and he is taking a more anti-crypto view for some reason. I don't think he's necessarily trying to regulate the industry as much as maybe curtail it, but he's created some lawsuits, and I think it's quite helpful for the industry in the U.S. large, but it is also an opportunity for Coinbase to go get the clarity from the courts that we feel will really benefit crypto industry and also the US more broadly. So that's from Brian Armstrong, who is currently the CEO of Coinbase. I also want to point out that he's recently been selling a lot of his own stock in Coinbase, but that's a side story. I think he has a fair point. I really, really do. I don't understand how the SEC can go around and just keep saying, hey, come on into us, talk to us, make sure you're, and they're just not giving clarity. Why don't you put out an official statement telling all these crypto-based companies and exchanges and anything else related to the industry what is above board and what isn't? And they just seemingly are refusing to do so.
Right now. What's really fascinating, Brian, is that Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies have rallied through a crisis in the regional banking sector in the United States. Bitcoin is up more than 70% year to date. Explain to me why we're seeing the outperformance in crypto when it seems like the rest of the financial world is in a state of meltdown given concerns in the macro economy and rising interest rates.
Yeah, that's right. So Bitcoin is up about 70% year to date, and I think what you touched on is the right answer, which is that there was the bank failures in the US did cause people to look again at crypto and try to think about this as an alternative system. You know, that just zooming out, I think that's the most important thing people should think about with crypto is that this is a technology that can be used to update the financial system and improve it in many different ways. And the financial system is in major need of an update. We've seen this from customers we talk to all over the world. They feel like the current traditional financial system is too slow and the fees are too high and people don't have equal access. So that's really important. Crypto is a technology that can update the financial system.
Has the crisis in the regional banks had a material impact on Coinbase?
No, so we feel quite comfortable in our current situation with the banks that we work with. You know, we had about 5 banks that we worked with in the US going back a few months, and then we did see the failure of 2 of those, but we've since restored that level of redundancy with new bank relationships, and so we feel like we're in a really solid place on that front. And I think that just speaks to the commitment to compliance and regulation that Coinbase has really exhibited from the early days as a company. Going back even 10 years, you know, that was a clear decision that we made and I made as CEO then to say we're going to embrace regulation, think of it as a business opportunity and a business enabler. And I think that's helped us get some of the best banking partnerships around the world.
Once again, there's some things that Brian Armstrong has done that I don't necessarily agree with, but I am fully understanding what he is saying in terms of his fight with the SEC, with crypto. I truly believe that a lot of the recent crypto debacles, like let's even look at FTX, is directly a cause from the SEC just not being clear. I think there's a big issues with them essentially forcing companies overseas so then they're not under the purview of U.S. government. And the reason they're not under the purview of the U.S. government is because they're essentially making it impossible to even know what they should or shouldn't be doing. I think the SEC is directly responsible for some of the harm that we've seen in the world of crypto. And then obviously the rest of the blame goes to the people who are actually perpetuating the said crime. Armstrong also rode back on a suggestion he made last month that the company may be forced to move its headquarters overseas. Coinbase is not going to relocate overseas. We're always going to have a U.S. presence, but the U.S. is a little bit behind right now. I would say we're seeing more thoughtful approaches, for instance, in the EU. They've actually already passed comprehensive crypto legislation. The UK has been incredibly welcoming for us there, and we've been a hub, and we've decided to serve the UK market. It would be nice if the US got into, like, you know, this particular century with it. Oil's sharp slide has surprised markets, but some traders now see bottom for prices. So I'm still in that Oxy position. I'm only bringing this up to you because Oxy and Devon Energy are both reporting this week. We are seeing oil bounce. It looks like it might have put it in a low. This is all off the backs of basically there was oil production cuts. And then on top of that, we're getting some strong labor numbers. So that, if only thing, should be increasing demand for oil. Oil prices saw their 3rd consecutive weekly decline last week, marking the longest losing run this year. However, that may soon come to pass, according to market watchers. Now it definitely feels like they're at a bottom. There are multiple signs of that. Inventories built a lot during the 1st and 2nd months of the year, and then they came off. So that's part of figuring that it's at the bottom. We're looking more positively at the 2nd and 3rd quarter. That's what's more than what's happening in their first quarter. So hopefully, I mean, at least in my Oxy position, I'm right there betting with Warren Buffett that oil will continue upward, and hopefully it directly translates to some positive P&L in the world of OXY, Occidental Petroleum. I last week saw Marvel's Guardian of the Galaxy, the third one. It's a great movie. It really is. It's still, for me, is not going to be better than the first one. The first Guardians of the Galaxy was my favorite, and that's no shade on this. This was a great movie. I just personally like the first one better. I don't want to give away any spoilers, but hey, folks, if you have some time, check it out. It is a good movie. You'll feel good and you'll feel bad. It's an emotional movie for sure. So check it out. It's a great movie. I like it. The first one's still my favorite, but this one, I don't know. I even like the second one. This one might just be tied with the second one, maybe a little bit better. I still like the first one best, but check all this out. Anyway, it crushed it. $114 million on opening, and then the global haul was $282 million. So it was a good one. If you are looking for something to watch, I would suggest it. 5 things to know before that bell goes dingity ding 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 today. I'll quickly go for this. I have some things saved for you that we're all going to go over after the market opens. We'll watch the first 10, 20 minutes. Then we're going to go over some of these other things that I think are important for us to all stay like kind of in tune with the markets here. And then right after this, be prepared to tell me whatever tickers you want me to look at. We're going to get the list of ones and we'll check out the daily charts to see what's going on, see if we can spot any interesting opportunity, because on that note, I have something that I want to share with you. Markets look to rebound. Right now, we are seeing some success. I mean, obviously Friday we're pushing a little bit more. It's all somewhat being led by just the craziness in the regional banking sector. What I did want to do, let's switch this one over to Tesla and we'll switch this one over to Apple just because Apple crushed it. Not $10 away from an all-time high. That's crazy. Buffett dishes in Omaha. Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett of Berkshire Hathaway had their annual shareholder meeting. And there's actually a lot of great discussion, so we can be covering that in a second. Debt ceiling drama, I'm going to cover that in more detail after market opens. Regionals rise. Yes, we're seeing a massive push upward in regional banks. If you ask me, this has the sense of a bit of a squeeze. I think right now, the recent huge percentage gain over really between Friday and this morning, I think you're having a lot of shorts and also people who had puts getting squeezed out of their position. I don't know how long it'll last. Obviously, I want it to end because I have puts, but only time will tell. Only time will tell. Disney on deck. So they're going to be reporting after the market closes on Wednesday. Just so you know, this is pretty much the last major week of earnings for this particular earnings season. There are still more earnings, but in terms of like the really big name ones that can influence the SPY, the Qs, this is kind of the final week of the big names. All right. So with that being said, let me switch it up over to this. Let me drop the time frame. We are about 3 minutes out, a little less than 3 minutes. So while we are waiting for that bell to open up for the day to get the next week kicked off, obviously, folks, I'm going to remind you, just don't play too big. Stick to your trading plan. Reasonable risk and reward. So put that out there. And also, what are the main stocks you guys want to look at today? Call out the major tickers you're looking at, or if you want to have me do a breakdown. But while we're waiting for it to open, folks, shout them out. Which ones are you watching today? Getting murdered on my IEP puts. I locked in my IEP gains on Friday, but I still do have that lotto play on IEP. So that main position that was up, whatever, 500, 600%, I locked that all completely in. And all I have left over is that the lotto play. All right. I'm seeing Amazon. I'm seeing IEP. Just so you know, IEP moved their earnings to Wednesday of this week. Bud. All right. Tesla. Apple. Hang on. I'm trying to keep up. NVIDIA. All right. Wall. Well, Wall. And we might as well look at KRE if we're looking at Wall. Top. SPY. Well, then we'll look at the Qs as well. SPY. Q. What else do you guys want to see? VSTO. Don't know what that is. PACW. All right. What else? ENVX. CRM. That's actually on my list that I want to share with you. Fubo. Got that one. Fubo. What else do we have? What else? Disney. DIS. Okay. And if there's more, that's a good list for us to get started. If you guys have more after that initial review, you can shout them out again, and then we will go over there. But we are about 45 seconds out from the bell going dingity ding ding ding. In terms of my current active positions, I'm basically betting against the major regional bank plays, including the ETF in the bottom left of your screen, KRE. And then I also have puts on the SPY, but all this stuff, none of it is short dated. Most of these, actually all of them. No, I do have some puts that are May 19th. So not this Friday, but next Friday. But most of them are for mid-June. So I have a considerable amount of time. A gray 2005 becoming a space shape. Shout out. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. All right, folks, get ready. We are now 10 seconds out for Monday morning bell opening. I wish everyone the best of luck. I hope you crush it. Don't forget to crush the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. We're almost at 250 likes on YouTube. We're at 246. Ooh, there we go. Dingity ding ding ding. The casino is open. Best of luck to all. Play responsibly. If not, have fun. Here we go. We are off to the races. I do want to show you the daily chart of the SPY. If we get above 414, that sets up an interesting gap fill play to 415.27. So once again, a break of 414, I would be watching for the upside gap fill of 415.27. However, if we get smacked, I'd roughly be watching the region between 410 and 411 to see if that couldn't hold. If it doesn't hold, then I'd be watching for the gap fill to 407.27. As of right now, I'm not looking to do anything too special at market open. I'm looking just to see. I mean, it's a Monday morning market open. When we're talking about regional banks failing, we're talking about debt ceiling, we're talking about craziness in the world of crypto. Speaking of crypto, Bitcoin went all the way up to almost 30K. Now we're down to 28. So not the best weekend run for it. A lot to do with Binance. And then Pepe went from basically, we'll call it 45 down to 23 now. So a big sell-off in the world of Pepe, but still keep in mind that it is up considerably. So I don't know. I have a little position on Pepe. It's completely degenerate. It's not something I would recommend to anyone. It's just a game of hot potato. That's all it is. All right. Calm, cool, collected. Calm, cool, collected. I think that's the name of the game. Remember, don't just get overzealous, overexcited on something that you're seeing on a very short time frame. Make sure before you execute anything, take a quick a 1 minute beat. Check out the larger time frames. Check out what's going on in the world of options. See if there's any big headlines. Remember, it's very, very rare that you need to get into a play like that second. It's a very, very big rarity. And honestly, even if you're in one of those plays or you miss one like that, okay, whatever. You're going to miss plays. Like, you're not going to get every play in the market. But I find I wish I actually had the statistics on this. I truly believe that if I waited 5, 10, 15, 30 minutes on any of my plays, that I'd probably end up having better entries and probably almost lead to better exits. This concept of feeling pressure to get into a play like right now, a lot of the time, it's just a psychology thing. I don't think that there's going to actually be a legitimate market reason that you should feel that pressure to get in that second. Sometimes it does exist. I'm not saying it's a non-existent event, but if you end up missing those, okay, that's cool. There are other plays. So I just want to throw that out there to everyone. Oh, shout out. You guys got us over 250 on YouTube likes. I appreciate that engagement. Where are we at? We're almost at 100 on Rumble Land. Are you guys excited for the next Fast and Furious movie? I forget the date. I just saw the trailer and everything, and apparently it's going to be the last one. I don't know how they just keep getting all these characters who are larger than life. I saw in the interview that Jason Momoa is now in it. IEP is falling. All right, well, Apple's going up, but let's switch it over to IEP. I still have the lotto play on IEP. The core position I completely locked in. I think I made about 10 grand on that one. So IEP, this is the Carl Icahn company. They are going to have earnings on Wednesday. It was supposed to be Friday of last week. It is now Wednesday. This is a stock I never even traded before, never even paid attention to until last week, where Monday morning before the market opened, Hindenburg Research, a short selling research firm. That was my algorithms. My futures algorithms just went short. Anyway, IEP came onto my radar because Hindenburg Research came out with a short report on it and it got absolutely clobbered. And then I was looking for it to stay below 34 on Friday. Obviously it didn't. So I cut my position. I locked in my gains. I still have the lotto ticket. If the lotto ticket pays, it pays. I think it's the $20 strike, maybe the $25 strike for May 19th. I don't know. I don't even have that brokerage open right now. But I'm going to be paying attention to it just because I want to know why their earnings got pushed from Friday to Wednesday. But with that being said, I do want to state to all of you that a major thesis of the IEP Hindenburg Research Report was that they will not be able to continue to pay their dividend. They just said functionally, financially, economically, it will be unable to be sustained. And then even though they pushed their earnings to Wednesday of this week, I believe it was on Thursday of last week, at some point mid last week, they announced that they are doing another $2 dividend. So that's why we're seeing IEP pop now, of just people are kind of pointing out, well, hang on, there must be some sort of strength there. So is it who is right? I don't know. Only time will tell. It's very easy to Monday morning quarterback. Is a completely different thing when you're actually like in the game. So I am paying attention to IEP. Here's the daily chart on IEP that I want everyone to know about. So I got involved around here, 45, 46, wrote it down, and then it came back a little, and I cut it around 35, 36. If we see it spike and then turn back over, I might re-enter. But once again, I still have the lotto plays, so like I still have exposure. And then if it ends up going bust, whatever. That's the point of a lotto play. I was looking for it to stay below 34. It didn't stay below 34, so I just took my gains, and I'm still watching it. I'm not necessarily saying I'm like completely moving on to the next play, but if it just keeps ripping here, okay, whatever. It was a play. I made some money. It's time to go to the next one. PLTR spicy today. Yeah, PLTR, Palantir, a data analytics company. They have earnings, I believe, after the market closes today. You have clear support between 740, 760. It's been selling off hard ever since $9, like just straight down. This is probably, I don't know, maybe a DeMark exhaustion or something. That's a lot of down days. Does anyone actually, side point before I get completely too distracted? Does anyone, so I got 2 books recently. Pretty much if I read, I'm reading trading books. I got this DeMark's Indicator book by Jason Pearl because when I was at the Bloomberg event 2 Fridays ago, Tom DeMark was speaking. I was like, oh, your system sounds interesting, so I want to learn about it. And then the other one I got was Advanced Futures Trading Strategies by Robert Carver. I'm only like a tenth of the way through this book, but I finished almost like 7/8 of this book over the weekend. So those are my 2 newest financial trading books, just to see if I can learn anything of interest that, if I do, obviously I'd be sharing it with all of you folks. But my question here is, do any of you use the Tom DeMark trading strategy, the DeMark count? Like, like it goes from 1 to 9, then 1 to 13 and blah, 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 like that type of stuff. Are those books family friendly? They're actually only family friendly. You have to get through the book, you have to read it with a family. So super, super family friendly. Thoughts on Sinmark? I haven't been paying attention to it. So Warren, unfortunately, I can't like give you some sort of amazing breakdown. Weren't they declaring bankruptcy? I don't tend to try to invest in companies that are like on the edge of bankruptcy. Does Tom use trading emojis? He does, but they're old school ones. They're just called numbers, and they go from like 1 to 9 or 1 to 9, sometimes 1 to 13, sometimes 1 to 21. So just old school emojis. He was the kind of guy that started trading in like, I think like the 60s or something. So they didn't have the plethora of emojis that we do today. So he just used straight up numbers. So yes, but probably not to the degree that you want them to be using them. Not what you're used to here. Julian's still stoked about Mullen. How's Mullen doing today? Reverse 1 for 25 reverse. Folks, when you do reverse stock splits, it's never really a good sign. Once in a while, it might lead to something positive, but it's not. This stock is just dying. This was something to be shorted so many times at all of these peaks. It's just a crappy company. It's volatile in the short term. If you want to day trade it, swing trade it, I wish you the best of luck. But if I had to give a long-term thesis on Mullen, I think it's just a matter of time before the company goes like completely kaput. Tesla had a pretty good opening, but it's struggling thus far. The SPY hasn't really moved much. We went from 413 down to 412.50, just a 50-cent range. No clear direction yet. Sold off a bit, little bearish, but making a recovery. I do want to remind everyone that today there is an inherent bearish bias in the day. A slight one, like closer to neutral. I wouldn't say it's absurdly bearish, but there is a slight bearish bias. Obviously, I'm very much paying attention to what's going on in regional banking. This is the ETF. KRE is the ETF that tracks all of regional banking. And then you guys can't see it on this particular layout, but on my watch list right over here, I do have all the major banks that everyone's talking about: PacWest, Wall, FHN, Zion. Looking for them. I want them to go brutally red. FHN is maybe the first one that's flirting with going red, but I mean, PacWest is up 20% right now. It's murking me. Zion's murking me. I need these to not just be red. I want destruction. Complete Genghis Khan level destruction is what my account would prefer to be happening right now. FHN is dipping. Yeah, I see that. It seems like that's the major one flirting with going red. I mean, KRE, we're seeing it dip. I need KRE to snap 35. So we're kind of a ways away. It's at 38.76 right now. I mean, I guess we might as well start with our daily chart breakdown. So KRE, there is obviously a gap fill at 38.49, not too far away from that. It actually feels like it's going towards that gap fill. Here, I'll make it red so you know it's a downside gap fill, because I know that's what we normally do. And I don't want to switch it up on you folks. Edit, save. Can I turn this back on? All right. Add horizontal alert. Why does it do that? I don't know what they switched that these alerts see. Does anyone know? This is so frustrating to me. I feel like TradingView messed up a little bit of their code, but I need to turn this alert on. Save it. Expiration, June, only one's crossing. I need it to cross that line. What am I going crazy? Is there a, like, what am I doing that it just is like, oh, like clearly we did not cross this today. So why is the alert going up? Someone has to know. A blue film starring Hunter. I don't think that helps me here, Mercury. Once per bar, once per close. Regular trading. No, this is what condition, notification, show pop up. I just don't know why. Message. What is the actual alert? KRE, regular trading hours, crossing it. Crossing down. Maybe I need to, but crossing itself should like actually work. Horizontal line. Price. Horizontal line. I'm gonna lose my mind. I'm going to absolutely lose my mind on this one. But anyway, you're looking for that gap fill to 38.49 because it gapped up again. It looks like early this morning they're going for that gap fill. That was actually a pretty easy play. There is another gap fill to 37. And then if we go do something like the 4-hour chart, maybe we need to go an even smaller time frame. So 37's here, but this is 36, excuse me. I misspoke before. I think I said 35. I see a shelf right here, 36, 36, 36, 36 across the board at 36. So I'm looking for it to break down below that. So basically, the numbers are easy. It's 38.50, 37, 36. Those are the downside targets I'm watching in the short term on KRE. I have 30 puts on FHM for Thursday. LFG. Matt, thank you, Matt. We love you. Donovan, I'm so happy you're crushing it. Congrats. It's all your trade. Hey, man, you put your money on the table. You ideally did your research. I'm sure you did. But hey, massive congrats. Who else is Matt? How do you choose your expiration dates? It depends on what I'm doing. Sometimes I'm day trading and I pick it for that day or the end of the week. I mean, usually picking 0DTE, like you're being like pretty full on degenerate. But for example, the main puts I have right now are for mid-June because I'm betting against the banks. I have no special insight on when the collapses might happen. So I'm giving myself time. So I bought myself 6 weeks for this play to play out. No pun intended there. So it depends on what I'm doing. I'm not always specifically saying, oh, like just next week. Typically, if I'm day trading, I like to give myself, like if I'm looking at the SPY, and it's a Monday, I'll look at that Fridays. If it's midweek, I'll look at the start of next week. If it's the end of the week, I'll look at the end of next week. So like if I'm doing something in a very short term, I'm going to give myself even then a couple days. I think my best plays are about a month out, and then I end up swinging it for like maybe, I don't know, 3 to 7 days, 3 to 7 trading days, maybe 3 to 10 trading days. And then I'm giving myself even more time on the banking sector stuff, just because if you looked at FRC, this is kind of my thesis here, was FRC got, well, now hang on. I don't know if, shit. My point is when it first fell a lot, this is no longer the right chart. It kind of did nothing for a handful of weeks. Before it really, like it fell, then it did nothing for a couple of weeks, then it fell more. Maybe FRCB, will that show us better? Yeah, this is a better one. See, so right here, it fell, it was dramatic, and then essentially for, right here, 23 trading bars. It didn't do anything. A month, 34 days, it didn't do anything, then it died. So that, honestly, I don't think my major risk here, in my opinion, is not really it popping, which of course it could do that. I don't know what crazy people would be buying banks right now. Maybe some like hardcore dip buyers. That's what I attempted to do with FRC. But I don't think a lot of smart money is buying big banks right now, like the big guys. So I'm actually more worried about it just going sideways and burning me. You're live on Instagram? What are you talking about? I'm live on Instagram. Are you sure it's me? I don't really use Instagram. I'm not live on Instagram. It looks like it's a fake count. You're live on Instagram. Photo. What? What? Are you sure it's me? Are you sure that's just not one of my like other accounts? My mentors in trading taught me buy time. Whatever you buy, please buy time. There's a reason those weeklies and 0 DTE options are so cheap and look too good to be true. Remember, Matt, no dropping F-bombs. People get offended. Oh, yeah. I wonder if he's in here right now. There's a clout chaser who got mad that I was... no, he's not in here right now. There's a clout chaser who got like upset that I went back. He's like, oh, all you did was interrupt Adam Aaron and swear. And I went back, and out of a whole hour-long discussion, I talked for like really like 2 minutes, maybe even sub 1 minute. And then I counted my swear words, and I said the F-bomb twice. And this is like a grown man who I guess I offended. So I don't know. I guess I'm now in the world of like apologizing to all the grown men in here who got up. If you're a grown man in here and I upset you by swearing, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cause such emotional turmoil, such just incredible distress. So if you felt that way, I'm sorry. Same with the doxer. Oh yeah. So people tried to dox me over the weekend, and can I share something with you? Is that cool? They found an address of when I was in Philly a couple years ago, and then they put the address into Google Maps, and then they took a picture of the wrong apartment. And where I lived in Philly, it was on the edge of where people like me should not live, as in it was getting dangerous. Like there were whatever, gangs, drug deals, generic violence. It was part of the reason I left. And I was on the edge of like where it gets like really sticky. And that's important in this story because the person who tried to dox me over the weekend, they took a picture of the apartment that was near mine, but it wasn't mine. And I met the guy who lived there. He's one of those guys that you do not mess with. So all I could think, I was like, uh-oh, you have these asshats who are trying to dox me. And then someone in Philly, if they go and like, I'm going to talk to Matt Kohrs, they're going to knock on the door of a person who is the last person in the world I would ever knock on the door and act like I'm going to be like all aggressive. Like, like all I can think about is like, oh my God, this is going to go south so fast. Like the dude, I'm telling you, I was like, if part of me started looking up news in Philly in the area where I was, because I was like, dude, like he is such an overgrown, massive dude. And like, you know how some dudes, they just have that look like you just don't mess with them. This guy was that, but like times 5. I was like, dude, there's going to be some guy pounding on his door, be like, Matt, we're talking about movies. and he's going to come out. And I just imagine in this theoretical situation that he woke up from a nap and he's all like, someone's banging on his door. And I was like, dude, this is gonna be really, really bad. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, no, people who dox are assholes. So I would ask of you, if you guys ever see me getting doxxed, it would be great if you could just report it, because that is super helpful to me, because I don't want my personal information out there like that, especially where I like used to live. I guess it was weird. I didn't care that much because it was my old address. And then apparently they clearly don't know me at all, because everyone on stream knows I now live in Manhattan. So then they were posting an old Philly address and I got confused. And then it wasn't even the right apartment look. Like they tried to go on Google Maps and then they showed the picture of a dude you don't want to mess with. Like, it was weird. It was super weird. If it pulls up on them in Philly, it'll definitely go south. That's like, I was like, dude, it was bad. Donovan crushing it. A gray becoming a space ape. What do you think about Monkey's token? Never heard of it. My money is safer in Monkey's token than in the bank. Welcome to 2023. Oh, we have people trying to shill Monkey. Well, we went through this last week. What is doxing? It's where people share your like information, like your phone number, your address. Sometimes if you don't have like your real name, they'll like, it's just they share your personal information publicly, obviously, when the original person doesn't want that to be done. It is against the terms of service on almost every social media website. Like generally you lose your account if you dox someone. But I don't know. I think that they've been slow to react. Where are the SPY? Are we, not really much is going on here. We will be able to see it better in futures. All right, we're coming up to a shelf here at 4,140. See, we broke through resistance and then resistance, consolidation, support that went into a bounce. So you're watching this right here, 4,140, and then that is roughly equivalent to, we'll just call it 411. So if you're watching the SPY, we're paying attention to 411. If you're watching the futures market, basically 4,140, see if that acts as support. Once again, it very well could. Or if the bears are feeling hungry today, they might smash it through that support. And then we'd have to be looking for the next levels, which we'll see if it ends up coming out to that. Maybe 4,125, something along those lines. But right now, the SPY's been selling off. This is what happened on Friday of last week, or maybe Thursday. Whatever day it was last week, there was a sell-off for the first hour to 10:30, and then pretty much a hard recovery all day. Just because we sell off for the first 20 minutes, that's by no means like a guarantee that we have to keep selling off that day. In fact, if you're coming up to an important support, a lot of people like to go long there because it's minimal risk. They'll buy out the support. If it breaks, they cut it for a paper cut, or if it bounces, they have a beautiful trade. So I haven't really been, you guys, I haven't done any day trades. In all reality, I'm trying to do less day trades. Once in a while, I think it's fun. Like I was day trading on the FOMC meeting last week on Wednesday. We had that nice put position. But right now, I have my KRE puts, I have my wall puts, I have my FHN puts, I have my PACW puts, I have my Zion puts, and I have my SPY puts. I don't know if I already said that. So I'm still holding my position. I know that the seasonality of Monday to Thursday of this week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, all individually have a bearish bias, a slight bearish bias, but over 4 days, I feel like that adds up. Friday has a strong bullish bias, just so everyone knows. But also don't forget, we do have access to certain websites such as Equity Clock, that if you come down here to equities in the futures, you can see the seasonality of what's going on in the world. And I just want you to know, maybe that's a little bit too small for you guys to see, but for May, by the time you get through the first third of May, the middle half right here is a strong bearish seasonality push. That doesn't mean it's guaranteed to play out, but basically the start of May is chop. Then you get to the middle half, bearish, bearish, bearish. And then we conclude like the final week of May actually has a strong bullish push. But we're just about here. And I'm only bringing this up to your attention because don't forget, this week we also have the CPI report on Wednesday. We have the PPI report on Thursday. We have the consumer sentiment report on Friday. We have multiple Fed members speaking, and we are potentially in the middle of an ongoing regional banking crisis. I believe the tail risk is to the downside. I think right now, of course, you're going to have players like JP Morgan and stuff talk about how banking's fine and they're upgrading their targets. To me, I'm just calling their BS. I don't think they're saying that. I think everyone in these positions of power, the Treasury Secretary, Powell, the overall government, and also the banks that the government is now making deals with, is trying to calm everyone down. These banks collapsing aren't really, it depends on the bank you're talking about, but in my opinion, it's not really because they're poorly run banks. It's because it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. People see the stocks go down. They feel weird about it. They get uneasy about their money. So then they go to the bank, take their money out, and go to one of the bigger guys like JP Morgan, Bank of America, Citi, or Wells Fargo. And then because there's so many deposits leaving, then there's actual cause for the stock to really go down, which causes it to go down more, which causes more people to go take their money out. And because of that, it all just becomes, and you're going to hear this from many, many people, a self-fulfilling prophecy. I cannot stress this enough. By my own research, and I'm not saying I'm some sort of expert researcher, because I'm not. If you saw the Yahoo article, I mean, a lot of people were trying to point out, they're like, why would it call him an amateur trader? Because I am an amateur trader? I mean, I think that was so. How many of you guys saw that? Yahoo wrote an article on me on, I think it came out Saturday. Maybe it came out Friday night. It either came out Friday or Saturday. And it said amateur trader. And people were like, amateur. I am it. I truly had no issue with it because it's accurate. To me, if you're a professional trader, you're a person who's running monies for other people. You have a huge a trading account. You have all the fancy whatever, series this, series that. You're the certified market technician. You have a CMT. To me, of course I'm an amateur. That's just truthful, I suppose. Me, a professional trader? No. If you're going to be a professional trader, you're going to have all those degrees. You're going to be running money for other people. You're going to be kind of a serious person within Wall Street. I mean, I think an amateur trader, I think it's another way to say a retail trader. Maybe it comes off as a bit more offensive, but folks, I did not I don't know. I wasn't personally offended by that because it was just accurate. Amateur trader, professional Pico influencer. That is true. I am a professional Pico influencer. I need to get a shirt made that says Pico influencer, just so the world knows what I am. Crazy that they were attacking you. It happens, folks. It happens. I honestly feel back. I feel like I should take a step back from engaging with those people on Twitter because it might make some of you laugh, but overall, it is a waste of time. For me, for them, it's just, there's a small cohort of people who are still just kind of crazy people. And there's a couple thousand of them and they back each other up. And it seems they have a very small, meaningless voice. And they're just their own echo chamber. And I was talking with my producer, Chaos, shout out if he's in here right now. And it just seems like it's an overall waste of time. I'd rather focus on what are things I can do to make the stream better? What are trading strategies I can learn from these books and then teach with all of you? And inherently, if I spend an hour fighting with someone on Twitter, that's an hour where I could have been doing anything. I could have been working on really solidifying myself as the world's number one Pico influencer. Amateur gambler. I feel like I'm a professional gambler. But when you're an amateur or professional gambler, I think that's just more of a sentiment of your heart than anything else. Yahoo's the modern day tabloids. What's funny is they took 2 quotes from me and it was a 45-minute discussion. I gave them some really brainy populist statements. I was listen, I mean, it's the stuff I've said to all of you. I'm listen, I was a naive retail investor. I looked into FRC. It seemed to be a great bank, more than a great bank. I believed in the Treasury Secretary. I believed in the chairman of the Fed, and I believed in our government when they all told us that there's no reason to be worried, that it is a strong and resilient system. I was naive because I was lied to by everyone in the positions of power. And then I concluded that whole argument with, so basically, I'm doing the opposite of what just burned me. And like, I had this great explanation of how the government is lying to us. And then they just took my final statement that just made me seem like a dumbass. And I read that, and I was at dinner, and I was with my completely real girlfriend, and I like showed it to her, and she's like, did you actually say this? And I was like, not at all. Well, I did, but like there was a lot more context to it that was like completely missed. It was like legitimately a 45-minute discussion. And then they just took out like my one sentence. It's not really gotcha journalism, but it's like a cousin to gotcha journalism, where they like just found one sentence in a literal 45-minute talk. And they're like, okay, you wish Matt would start a hedge fund? If I started a hedge fund, it would be just so you guys can do the exact opposite. It's honestly my same reasoning of why you guys should vote me in as like governor of like a small state, like, I don't know, Rhode Island or Vermont or New Hampshire, Connecticut. If I can get you guys to vote me into a position of power, I will not only run on this platform, but I will solemnly swear to you folks that I will announce all of my trades on Twitter before I trade them. I will get on to all of the important committees, So I just need you guys to show me some support. I will get there. And then I promise you for free, just follow me on Twitter. Have your notifications on. I will let you guys know all of my trades beforehand. Be like, hey, I'm feeling really good about this defense contractor, as I'm like on the relevant committee for it. Or I'm going to get really close with that guy who's like YOLOing futures options on corn when he's on the ag committee. That's going to be my plan. So that's the campaign. That's my platform. I'm not going to talk about any of these other issues. If I'm left, right, I don't even know what I'm going to run as. I guess I would just run out as whatever's more popular in that area, whatever state or district I'm in. I'm just going to either be a Republican or Democrat based on the population of that area. I don't want to go to any of these like contentious regions where it's like hard to win. I should be like a Democrat in New York or a Republican in Texas. Like, I want to do something where it's like super, super easy. I'm going to need all of your votes. I could either be like a senator, a congressperson, a governor, and I'm not really going to do anything in terms of like new bills or laws. So whatever the status quo is, I'm just going to stick with that. But what I will do is actively trade a lot. I'm going to get on all the important committees. I'm going to get the information. And I think it'll be illegal for me to share the information with you, but I will be able to share all of my trades. So yeah, people don't like change anyway. Yeah, the only change that you're really going to have to worry about is the green change in your account, because you're going to just be trading with me all of the time. I would have to, do you think I have to show up at the committee meetings, or do you think they would give me the TLDR like rundown of it? Matt, run as an independent. Do independents really ever win? What? Listen to this cute, smart Asian girl. She's smarter than all of us. Can you stop talking now? TBV, are you like some weird bot? I feel like I don't want to keep your comments up. Yeah, TBV. Let me just silence you for a second, because you're just giving me weird vibes. TBV, you're going to be allowed to speak again, but I just need to see what this is all about. And like, if you're like shilling something weird right now, I don't know if you're a bot or not. You're kind of talking like a real person, but then you're also kind of talking like a bot, like almost like a weird AI human hybrid type of a situation. So I'm going to have to figure that one out. We're going to have to figure that one out. It's a cute, smart Asian girl. What can go wrong? All right. Well, I need PAC-W to still very much come down. Looks like Wall is taking a hit this morning on the daily. Wall, I mean, it's still above where it closed, though. So it's still in the green by about $1. But I mean, it opened up at 30.50. We're down to 28. I would love for this thing to get sub 25. I'd feel much better about my life if Wall was below 25. PAC-W gapped up to 750, actually still above its gap. It has a gap down to 622. This has to do with its dividend. I don't know if it'll be able to survive that. FHN, I'm looking for FHN to come below 1028. Remember, FHN, obviously it is another bank, but this one has a kind of a different story. This was supposed to merge with TD, and then obviously it was announced that they weren't going to do that, and it completely plummeted. We got a little bit of a bounce off the pavement, but I don't know if any of these really survive. Zion. I mean, all of these regional banks are kind of getting the vibe of the day. They all gapped up and they're all heading back down to their gap down fill. That could be support. They totally could bounce right there. But if buy side liquidity does not come in, we might still continue to see a bleed. But KRE just went subtly red. KRE just cracked red. But once again, I care about KRE going under 38.50, which we are under. That was the downside gap fill. Congrats to all of you who played it. The next level is 37. The next level is 36. So I'm not particularly going to be excited about KRE until we get below and ideally close below 36, which is still, that's a decent percentage away. I don't know if it would need to go down 6% today for an overall ETF. What's this big brutal drop of a day? How much was that even? That was only 5.8%. So to go 6% today, an additional 6%, I don't know if it'll happen. I think it would only happen if we got a particularly negative announcement, a particularly negative development. But time will tell. Time will tell. IEP not really doing anything, so we might as well switch that out. PacWest looking heavy. Wall looking heavy. Everything, all these regional banks are just kind of doing exactly what KRE is doing. And that makes sense because it's all of these that end up comprised within the KRE ETF. I actually don't know if that's grammatically the correct way. Comprised or composed? There is a difference between comprised and composed. KRE is comprised of all these regional banks, or KRE is composed. I think the right word is comprised. We need to learn this. Comprised means to be made up of. The whole of something comprises its part. Composed means to make up. The parts of something compose the whole. What? So KRE is comprised of other regional banks. These regional banks compose KRE. Is that the right way to say it? Comprised of is incorrect. Just say comprised. But comprised, are you sure? I feel like I'm reading the opposite right now. Comprised is often misused for composed. It's common for speakers to say the basketball team is comprised of 5 players. Instead, it's composed of 5 players. Oh, so you are 100% right. If you want to be completely safe from criticism, you should use composed of and not comprised of. So do not use comprised of. Yeah, so you are spot on, whoever said that. Don't say comprised of. Composed of is made up of, comprises. So Wall, PacW, Zion comprises KRE. KRE is composed of. Interesting. Well, now, no matter how bad today's stream is, you can at least say you learned something. Maybe you didn't learn anything about the markets, but at least you learned a little bit about life. You learned something. Lesson time. Matt's grammar streams. Seems like the market's taking a bit of a dip. Did anyone ever say yes? Does anyone here know the Tom DeMark trading strategy, the count of 1 to 9? I asked you guys that, and I didn't see anyone say yes. And I'm just curious, has anyone heard of Tom DeMark? Has anyone used the DeMark trading counting system? Anyone at all? Because if not, I guess that means there's a lot of people I could teach about this book. I had some questions that I wanted to. Nope, I'm a pivot boss. So I try to code it up a little bit myself, and I'll show you what it looks like. So let's do a 5-minute. I try to code it up. Why is it not here? Indicator, MK1. So it looks a little something like this, where it counts up. Basically, you're looking for the certain creation of bars. And then when it gets to 9, which I designated with this emoji and with this emoji, you look to do the opposite. So right here, the fact that that would be a buy signal. But technically, if I remember this right, that wouldn't be, you want 9 below 6 or 7. You want 8 or 9 below 6 and 7. So it is below, but I don't know if you want it to be an extreme. So this might be technically an invalid buy signal. But right here, this was a sell signal that I guess I don't know. I didn't get to the point of taking profits. But it was something I was working on over the weekend, and I want to finish it up, obviously, this week. It's not completed code, but I just wanted to let you guys know where I was at. I wanted to pick your brains to see if you folks knew more than I did. KRE looking a little heavy. I would love for that to get below 36 today. Love for that to get below 36. Should I just do a giant magnet just to be safe? Or do you think that would be too... You know how the SEC is now investigating people for like manipulatively shorting? Do you think I would be put on their list if I put a giant magnet onto KRE? How are your bank shorts looking right now after that? Roughly break even, because I was up so much that now this bounce has kind of put me back to net. But now that we're diving today, I'm sure I'm up a little bit. I'm definitely not as up as much as I was when Wall went all the way down to 11. The time between, how disgusting is this? The time between Financial Times reporting that Wall was like seeking strategic partnerships and alternative blah, blah, blah. And the time between that announcement and then Wall hitting back, like there was like a 20-minute gap. I mean, I was up like 50, 60K. So that is a bummer to go up that much just for it to come back to like roughly break even, give or take a little bit, depending on literally what's going on at that moment in time. Send the markets to hell, magnet engage. But the people in here who are long on banks, they're probably going to get mad. I'm so curious. Is he going to stop by? Where's that guy? No, I don't think he's in here. Hey, is the guy in here who's the grown man in here? I don't think he's in here. I'm just really curious if that guy's in here that like was emotionally hurt that I swore. SMX. What is going on with SMX? Great question. Let's look into it. Public limited company. Looks like a SPAC play that did horribly, went up. It looks like it's a failing SPAC play. I would clearly be watching $3. If it gets above 3, you might be looking at a gap fill all the way up to 6. But if it ends up turning around like it did recently at 3, this might be a short back down to sub 1. It looks like it's a failing SPAC play. Pumps, dumps, pumps, maybe, question mark. So I would be watching for the interaction at 3. If it doesn't even get up there, well, that's showing honestly even more weakness. So I don't know anything about it. A public limited company seems like it's a failing SPAC play. And I just know that because they pinned it at 10. They probably announced their partnership here, got some volatility, died. Maybe something with the partnership went well, then it went up. So pump, dump, pump, dump, pump, dump. I don't think this time would necessarily be anything different. This is like, just from looking at the chart, this is not something I'd want to invest in, but I don't think it's that horrible of a thesis to think, oh, maybe it gets rejected here again. And you could find, and then you could even risk 341. So that's not bad. That's what I'd be looking for. I'd probably go against it than being like long on it. I'd be waiting for an extension to the upside. Tesla falling, SPY falling. Actually, wait, where were we at? We're right at that breakdown level I was talking about. Once again, we're on the futures market. 4,000 here. Let's see if I can actually set an alert, add alert. Let's see if this works. I like, when I'm really looking at charts for the SPY, I like checking out the futures market because this is a Globex session, as in it trades 23 hours out of the day, excluding Saturdays. It trades from Sunday night at 6 p.m. to Friday night at 5 p.m. And it just takes off the hours of 5 to 6 every night. So it trades 23 hours out of the day, excluding Saturday. And when you do that, you get more of a, just like a filled out chart, more of a consistent chart, instead of like all these like pre and post market gap up, gap down. So I like to pay attention to this. And because of that, I'm watching this pivot level right here, 4,140. You see consolidation, resistance, support, support, consolidation, and now it's as support, acting as support. If the market does not hold this, I would be looking for the rest of the day to sell off, or this could be a nice dip buy. I don't know. Time will tell. We just have to pay attention to this roughly 4,140 level once again on the futures market. You could check it out with SPX. It's going to be roughly the same. The charts are going to look the same. The numbers are going to be slightly different. Here, it's, I don't know, roughly 4,130, 4,125. The number is slightly different because this is the actual index. And then if you look at ES, that's the futures market for that index. So they're inherently tracking the same thing, but there are some nuanced differences that you should know about. But anyway, I'm looking for this breakdown to see if it does or doesn't hold. Roughly equivalent to, I don't know, 411.75. We're at 411 or 412 right now in this buy. So I'm watching that. KRE double bottom, Zion double bottom. Tesla is actually holding a little bit higher than it was before. How's Wall looking? Wall is continuing to sell. PacWest is continuing to sell. So everything's trending in my direction. Unfortunately, we just had such strong gap ups that I'm still kind of getting screwed right now. So if I made my positions at open, I mean, that would be awesome. I mean, from open till now, PacWest is down 10%. KRE is down 2.7%. Zion from open is down about 4.7%. Wall is down 9% from open. But I mean, even look at this. PacWest is still technically green on the day because of how much of a gap up it had. So PacWest in the green, Wall in the green. FHN is now actually successfully in the red. So that's at 1085. Zion, 86 cents ago. Actually, only one of these is in the red. KRE is now officially in the red, but it's a slow bleed right now. Will it continue? Time will tell. Time will tell. Time will tell. What about time decay on your puts if banks stay flat at the level? Would you be negative next Monday? How would you estimate the percent? Well, you would look at theta. The theta number tells you everything else held constant. If volatility and price levels are held constant, how much value your contract loses from holding from one day to the next day. That's literally your theta value. So I'd be paying attention to my theta. But right now, my theta is very, very low because your theta does not pick up linearly. It picks up exponentially. Theta value increases the closer you get to expiration. So because my expiration is so far out, as of now, my theta is essentially negligible, but it will pick up slowly, 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 medium, and then it gets rapid. It's kind of like that hockey stick growth curve. But because my expiration is from mid-June, I have considerable amounts of time. So my theta right now, I'm probably, I don't know, I could look it up, but I'm probably losing like a couple bucks a day. I'm losing more from the fact that it gapped up. As of now, where we are in this current time frame, I actually care more about like the price right now than I do like necessarily the timing, just because I have so much time on my side. Cool stream last night with TTG. Yeah, I love working with those guys. I've been partnered up with them for a while. For those of you who are members of TTG, do we have any TTG members in here right now, out of my own curiosity, or are all the TTG members listening to Mike right now? Just out of my own morbid curiosity. They're a good group of guys. I've pissed away so much money on trading gurus and that shit. And that's actually why at first, if I'm being honest, I was hesitant to work with them because I never knew of them, blah, blah, blah. And then I did my own research on their members and particularly the success of their members. And I was like, oh, these guys are like the real deal. Shout out. Oh, Diego, you were there last night. I remember seeing your name in chat. Shout out. TTG, yayo. I like how like so many people just like give Mike so much shit for the AO. I find it so funny for whatever reason. Folks, is there any breaking news? I'm trying. I know you guys can't see this in me because I am as calm as a cucumber. But I'm actually kind of excited that I see this. Like, I'm looking for everything to go red. Zion, 73 cents away. FHN is already red. Wall is now flirting with going red. And PACW, if PACW drops another 74 cents today, if PACW goes red, I think all these other ones will be red. So I'm getting excited about the direction, but you couldn't tell that because I have such immense monk-like discipline control of my own emotional state. But in reality, like the SPY is battling with this bounce level. I mean, we called it out. We're looking at it right now. This could be a legitimate bounce. 4,140, that's what I am watching. If it stays above it, everything might bounce. I mean, look at that. You have some buyers coming in. This is what we saw on Thursday of last week, I want to say, where we sold off for the first hour. And then for the rest of the day, it was just a bounce. So we just might be, I mean, look at that. We should check in on the options market just to see what's going on here. Call premium 55%, put premium 45%. Whoa, someone just destroyed the ass on SPX. They destroyed SPX's ass. 39 days out, 4,145 puts. So they bought them in the money, which is a little interesting. How much size was it? Premium, they threw a couple mil at it. I mean, that one was 580K right there. Interesting. And then they even got one for 2 days out. We have some Tesla puts coming in. The last batch was all puts. So is the options market always right? No, but it is interesting to see like where the money is going or not going. No big halts quite yet, but maybe we'll get there. If the sell-off in banks continues, maybe, who knows? Maybe someone will rug the whole situation. Am I missing any big news today? There are some things I want to go over. I kind of just use this as my like save thing right now that I want to so we could talk about the debt ceiling. A company is offering $1,000 to people willing to binge watch all 10 Fast and Furious movies and track all the crashes. $1,000 for binge watching all of the Fast and Furious movies. And here I am, crazy person, just doing it for free. 22 banks reported unrealized losses exceeding 50% of their capital at the end of third quarter of 2022, according to the Fed. Apparently, Mark Zuckerberg is no one to be screwed with. Meta owner Mark Zuckerberg just won his first Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu tournament. He just messed people up, apparently, all weekend. All weekend. Wait, who said it's not worth it? You shut your mouth. King Chungus and Dun Myth. You shut your mouth. You don't say that. In this community, we would watch it for free. So Zuckerberg apparently getting pretty good at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Here was an interesting graphic. Oh, wait, there was a video. Yeah, you could just see how banks are performing. When I first saw that, there was like a whole video. Oh, this is a... So we already did the grammar teaching section of the day, but I do want you folks to learn a little bit more about proper investing, ways to use banks, and really wealth acquisition. And I think this TikTok really explains it all.
Here's the secret to passive income, and this is something that banks don't want you to know.
Very true.
When you deposit $1,000 in a bank and you're making 2% interest, you're losing money.
Yep.
Right? Because if you put $500 at two different banks, you're doubling your interest. Think about that. This is what Chris and I have been talking about all week. If you're willing to go a step further, right, because we're talking about passive income here, put $100 at 10 different banks. You're making 20%. No one
Easy.
bank is going to give you 20%, right? And this is usually where I lose people because they're not willing to do the work up front. But imagine if you put $1 in 1,000 different banks, the kind of returns you'd be getting. Here's the secret to passive income, and this is something that banks don't want you.
That's the kind of stuff that they're not going to teach you in school because the banks don't want you to know. But I'm not afraid to let the truth out to all of you. Why get 2% at one bank where you could get 2% at 1,000 different banks and get 2,000%? So I felt like you guys should know. I wanted you guys to know my secrets to wealth. Wait, he also has one of the greatest historians of our time.
Can I blow your mind right now? Chris is laughing because he knows where I'm going with this. Okay, there's not a single video of Abraham Lincoln. I'm serious. Look it up. Go on YouTube. Okay? Think about that. He's one of the most famous Americans in history. He's the first president. He made slavery illegal. And there's no video. You can look it up. There's no videos of Abraham Lincoln. And every time I say that, someone goes, no. There's gotta be. He's Abraham Lincoln. None. So then you start to ask yourself, and if you really want to go down this rabbit hole with me here, just bear with me. Who's controlling what we get to see a video of and what there is no video of, right? Because there's no videos of Abraham Lincoln, but I can go on YouTube right now. And you can do it. And you can watch behind-the-scenes footage of Paul Giamatti recording his lines for the Ant Bully, right? But there's no videos of Joan of Arc. Can I blow your mind right now? Chris is laughing because he knows where I'm going with this.
It's so good. Here's another banger.
Can I blow your mind right now?
Can I blow your mind right now?
One of the ways that historians determine the age of a civilization is through pottery. Chris is leaving because I've been talking about this all afternoon. Is through pottery. But anyone who knows anything about pottery, and you can look this up, will tell you that it requires a pottery wheel, which runs on electricity. Let that sink in. So the first electric device is built in 1821 by Michael Faraday. But you've got historians saying, oh, we've got these ancient Greek pieces of pottery. How's that possible? Either those pieces of pottery are less than 200 years old, or, and this is the theory that's out there right now, they had electricity 5,000 years ago. Okay? And if you really want to go down this rabbit hole, think about how someone like Marco Polo or Magellan can navigate the globe without a GPS, without a computer. And then ask yourself, what does a computer run on? Can I blow your mind right now? Okay. So,
it's so good. It's so good. Maybe they did have electricity 5,000 years ago. Oh, the banks are collapsing, but this shit's so funny. No videos of Abraham Lincoln. Oh, he's so funny. He's changed my mind. And get this. I love this other fictitious character, Chris. Oh, we've been talking with Chris all day. Like, he just picked the random name Chris, his producer. He's like, Chris is leaving because we talked about this all day. Can I blow your mind right now? And that really is all these dudes running podcasts right now. They're like, can I blow your mind right now? Here, get this one. Get this one. Oh man. Well, let me know when PacWest. Can you guys let me know when PacWest goes red, when Zion goes red? We have a bit to go on those. About 60 cents over here. So this needs to get 575. KRE, you guys know we need the snap of 37, and then really I care about 36. And Wall, I would just feel so much more comfortable if this thing goes sub 25. But that's just my intraday target. Really what I want is for it to go below 18, because that's the value it gapped up to when they hit back against the Financial Times report. So Wall went from the mid 20s down to 11, and they said, hey, the Financial Times is lying, we're going to sue them. And it gapped up to 18, and it held that level. So really I care about 18, but I don't know if we're going to hit that today. Oh, I see some people. This guy is Some Guy Mark, at Some Guy Mark. I mean, just so incredibly hilarious. Incredibly hilarious. Some Guy Mark. Wait, are there more in here? Right. Oh, wait, we could just go to his TikTok. He only has 150K. This guy's going to blow up. So he first got big when he was talking about Congress and how they were handling the TikTok congressional testimony, and basically it was so this.
Does TikTok communicate with other devices in my household?
He was just mocking them.
Yes or no? So am I gonna wake up in the night and hear the TikTok having a chit chat with my oven? Yes or no? So TikTok knows what my wife Helen is making for dinner? Is that correct? So if I walk into my kitchen, I'm going to see a little Chinese man squatting on the floor looking through the window of the oven door. Is that what you're trying to say? Why exactly does TikTok require this information? Yes or no? So now that little Chinese man is going to take a plane back to China and tell everybody at TikTok headquarters that I'm having leftover honey butter chicken for dinner. Is that what you're trying to say? The fact of the matter is, my wife Helen is an excellent home cook, but we're not just gonna throw perfectly good honey butter chicken in the garbage. You understand? My concern is that this is gonna paint Helen in a bad light when she's a devoted mother, a faithful wife, and an excellent cook. What happened to the days when a man could enjoy the next day's honey butter chicken with his wife and then play a few hands of euchre with Tom and Irene and not worry about whether or not Chinese TikTok oven monitors are spreading misinformation about Helen? Does TikTok communicate with other devices?
Why is this guy so funny?
One of the fastest routes to financial success is zero interest loans. And this is what the banks don't want you to know, right? When you take out a $1,000 loan, you're paying interest on that, say 10%. So once you've paid back that loan in full, you've paid $1,100, which means you're losing money to make money. That doesn't make any sense. So let this sink in. When I went to build this studio, I knew I needed $50,000. And Chris is leaving because he fought me every step of the way. So I took out a $100,000 loan, right? I used 50 to build the studio, and then I invested the other 50 in a high interest savings account that paid 50% in interest, right? So at the end of 2 years, I had turned that 50K into 100K, and I paid that back, right? And by that time, the podcast was so successful that I was able to do this full time. And I don't know why everybody isn't doing this. One of the fastest routes to financial success.
I love how he takes off glasses on glasses. Guy with podcast. This one has a lot.
Can I blow your mind real quick? Okay.
Can I blow your mind
Who
real quick?
named the Earth the Earth? Let that sink in. Chris is walking out because we've been talking about this all week. Who named the Earth the Earth? I mean, really think about it. So every nation, regardless of language, for all of human history, has called the planet the same thing. How could they independently reach that conclusion, right? If you're in North Africa, you call it the Earth. If you're in South America, you call it the Earth. Even before cell phones were invented, even before boats were invented, you have two completely different places separated by an ocean calling it the Earth. Okay? Now think about this.
Because it's flat.
This is the part that's going to blow your mind. What do North Africa and South America have in common? Pyramids. Can I blow your mind real quick? Okay.
Pyramids.
Can I blow your mind right now? Okay.
Can I blow
So
your mind right
there
now?
are castles in Scotland, right, that are less than 400 years old, and they're made of rocks, stone, but they're completely falling apart. Chris is waving at me because we're almost out of time. They're completely falling apart, right? But the Earth, which is made of rocks and stones, is supposedly hundreds of thousands of years old, not falling apart. Let that sink in, right? So either the Earth is maybe 500 years old, or the Earth is a castle built by a civilization who is better at building castles. Can I blow your mind right now?
I don't think we can.
Okay. So
I don't even think I could come up with a reasonable alternative. Earth is most likely a castle built by a civilization who's better at building castles. I feel like that's just accurate. I don't think any of us could possibly argue with that. Because there are castles in Scotland right now that are 400 years old and they are falling apart. So there you have it, guys. I think I actually packed all the education that I usually give you in an entire week into already the first hour of this show. So, I mean, think about it. We learned the difference between comprised and then composed of. And then we learned about how to use banks. We learned about castles. We learned about Earth. We learned about no videos of Abraham Lincoln. I think we literally have already figured out everything we need to know for this whole week. I've packed successfully all 5 of my lectures, my strong education-based lectures, into already this show. So for the rest of the week, I would say mentally prepared to not learn anything because we've already learned everything you need to know. Dropping out of school to get a real education. Oh, yeah. If there's any students in here at any degree, it doesn't matter if you're a preschooler watching my stream or it doesn't matter if you're already working on your PhD. I mean, think about how much you learned in the past half hour from me for free. Now, why would you go to school with the pressure, paying bills, crappy dorm life, like maybe a weird nap time, depending on if you're in college or in preschool, because I know that's important for both groups there. Do you need that? Do you need that at all? Or you could just come here and hang out with me. We could just coast from here for the rest of the week. Whatever you're smoking, I'm buying. We can't forget about the pyramids. I do think that there's a very... How do you know preschoolers watch your stream? Oh, they DM me. They're like, hey, Matt, just got out of my nap. We learned about shapes, and I think it's time that we talk about the forever expanding credit system and maybe how there's counterparty risk if we ever get into a deflationary spiral. That's actually what I got from Little Mac, who just got out of his nap last week. Great question, but yeah. Always get great DMs from people. Looks like the SPY's about to crack their team. Look at the SPY. Looks a little bit salty, you know? Looks a little bit salty. Looks like we're snapping some necks and cashing some checks. Snapping necks, cashing checks. All right, I just need PAC W. I need this to go another 63 cents, and I need Wall to go back down to the red. I need Wall sub 18. I need PAC W sub 4. I need KRE sub fucking $1, please. My SPY punt's looking nice. Shout out, Dom. You've been crushing it lately. Remember, you can scale out. Folks, you can scale in, you can scale out. Don't worry about burning your day trades. If you don't have day trades, just don't trade that day. Pay attention, but I think it's far more important to lock gains into your account than worry about like burning trades. Don't take on risk you don't want to because of PDT. PDT is a stupid rule, but it's just something we currently have to battle with. Thoughts on a good short entry price on Pepe? I don't know. Pepe is just like pure lunacy. So that's a tough thing to like really track. I'm still long on it just because it makes me lull. I'm up considerably right now, so I'm not like too worried. It is getting knocked, but crypto's getting knocked. I mean, apparently there was a giant exodus of Bitcoin from Binance. So that has the crypto community right now a little bit worried in the short term. Some guy, Mark. What else did he say? People just aren't willing to do the work. 1,000 banks. Put $1 into each. Hang on. There was some other boring stuff that I thought you should know about. Like this, for instance.
And agree with some of your points.
This is about the debt limit.
Unspent COVID money makes a lot of sense, but it's a much longer laundry list than just that. And again, you're talking about stuff that are coming up. If they were to say we will negotiate over these issues in budget, or if they would give on some points, do you think that that's going to be enough to push it across? Because if you look at both extremes here, it seems tough to find the idea that you're going to find common ground between the two.
Well, look, they have been hoping, I believe, and wishing that the Republicans couldn't get their proposal passed. I don't think they thought we could do it. And so now they have to respond. Right. Yeah, well, they have to respond in kind. They have to have the same sense of urgency that we've had. The president hasn't returned Speaker McCarthy's call and his request for continued conversation and negotiations. He's been running the clock out. Now, the ball's in his court. We have a good list. I think it's very straightforward. Able-bodied adults who receive public assistance ought to work. I mean, we should not continue the barrage of regulatory assault on American energy. We can't get out of the recession that we're heading for if we don't have pro-work, pro-growth, pro-energy policies. They can counter, but they have to now step up and act like responsible leaders. We've done that, and we have set that example, and we have placed in their hands a list of proposals that we have gotten consensus on. It's their time to respond, and the American people expect them to, because the American people have had to tighten their belts and change their spending habits because of the spending primarily that has driven the
Joshua
inflation that
becoming
these
a
folks
bot
are
fighter.
suffering
Shout out,
with.
man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, Congressman Arrington, I think you're probably right that the Democrats were counting on you all not being able to get something passed through the House. Part of that came because of reporting that was coming out ahead of time. Axios had reported that Speaker McCarthy had actually called you incompetent in this, raised questions just about your own party and the leadership. Were they wrong? Is there 100% agreement in your,
no, we are
at least in
incompetent.
the leadership in your party at this point?
That'd be quite the retort.
I think there were a lot of people in Washington that wanted us to fail, quite frankly. And I don't put stock in any of that. The results speak for themselves. We got 217 Republicans to pass a proposal with all that noise in the background. And now I think all of Washington establishment and our Democrat colleagues are very sober and awake to the fact that they've got to deal with this, because we already have. And it's an imperative that they do, because we've lifted the debt ceiling. Our proposal lifts the debt ceiling. And it just adds along to that the addressing the spending that is driving all the things that I mentioned with respect to inflation, soaring interest rates, and a weaker economy.
Chairman Arrington, I want to thank you for your time. I'm sure we'll be hearing back from you again soon. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well, that was the conclusion of it. I thought this was POTUS. Yeah. This will be the last thing, like, at least from this on the debt limit. Just, I know it's a little boring, but it's incredibly important to pay attention to. I guess as we are listening to this, I'm sure a lot of you are far more informed about this situation than I am. I've been trying to stay on top of it, but really what I have for you is more of a generic question of the uncertainty that is currently being raised by the debt ceiling of, are we going to kick the can down the road? Is there going to be a small one? Like, who is going to concede? Who's not going to concede? It's leading to uneasiness. And my question to you is, who do you think is more to blame? Obviously, not one side can take 100% of the game, because it takes two to tango. And I'm just more so thinking, I want to know where your thoughts are of, do you more so blame the Republicans right now for holding out and wanting extra things put in here, opposed to just the debt limit? Or do you more so blame the Democrats for being unreasonable to think that the only thing that's going to go into this is a debt limit increase, and that there's not going to be any spending cutbacks?
Describe this as your greatest leadership challenge yet. How certain do you think, or do you think, we'll be able to reach a deal that averts some sort of crisis?
Republicans, Democrats, Republicans.
Well, it's
Canada.
Been a challenge.
That's an interesting blame.
In
it's
the past,
well,
we've kicked the
blows.
can down the road. We've just raised the debt ceiling, basically giving an unlimited line of credit without any guardrails or consideration for spending, or in this case, after $10 trillion of spending the last 2 years, out of control spending that's driving record inflation, which has been devastating to working families across the country. So, we're just asking President Biden and the Democrats to do what's been done in the past. Quite frankly, President Biden has led negotiations in debt ceiling legislation where they considered spending controls and fiscal reforms. And it's that straightforward. The two are not mutually exclusive. This is not unprecedented. We just have to be responsible, consider our economic condition, consider the amassing debt that we're going to put on the next generation of Americans, and start to rein it in responsibly. Excuse me.
There are 5 days, I believe.
That doesn't sound so unreasonable to me.
President and the key members of the House
in
and
our
Senate
spending. Like,
are
we
going to be
are
in
spending
town
like a drunk
over the course of the next month before, or the next 3.5 weeks, I would say, before the debt ceiling is hit. According to what the Treasury Secretary is saying, just the date that she thinks that's most likely, she'll run out of the ability to kind of move things around and change things around the edges. Given the short number of days that are left, given the market's reaction to some of these things, if you look at the 4-week T-bills, you're talking about rates above 5.8, 5.9%, which shows the serious concern investors have at this point, at least in the short term. Would you consider some sort of an impasse that allows you all to keep negotiating past that without any of the extreme measures taking place where the U.S. defaults on its debt?
Well, we're halfway to a deal because Republicans have submitted their proposal, passed it out of the House.
Fair.
So Chuck Schumer and his Democrat colleagues, along with the president, have to decide if they're going to engage. Now, he's called a meeting. That's a positive sign. And if they will follow suit,
the meeting is tomorrow,
and do the right
just so you know,
and responsible thing by coupling the debt ceiling raise with common sense spending reforms, then I think we're there. But we've got to have our
Congressman, let's just talk about this honestly.
GOP debt limit bill, 1.5 trillion limit increase, cuts spending to 2022 levels, then caps spending growth at 1% a year, imposes stricter work requirements for food stamp recipients. And that's what the Republicans want. 1.5 trillion limit increase, cuts spending to 2022 levels, then caps spending growth at 1% a year, imposes stricter work requirements for food stamp recipients.
The Treasury Secretary was kind of equivocating.
Claws back unspent RONA funds, halts 20,000 student loan forgiveness plan, ends many renewable energy tax breaks.
On all kinds of stuff yesterday. The more she was pushed on it, the more kind of silly the answers started to look. I think people understand what's happening here. Both sides have said that they have dug in, that they're not going to basically take anything but what they have laid out. Obviously, something needs to get done. Do you think that something is going to be reached between now and the next few weeks, or do you think it's going to take a little longer to work out the details? Would you be willing to say, okay, they take some of your proposals, but not all of them? Because what Kevin McCarthy has said to this point is that this is a floor, not a ceiling, which sounds like a pretty tough take it or leave it stance.
Well,
that's a big goal.
3 out of 4 Americans in every poll I've looked at expect the president to follow suit with what we've done. And I think our proposals are straightforward. They're very common sense and very reasonable. We're just talking about clawing back unobligated, unspent COVID money. We're just saying don't cancel.
It's a longer laundry list. I understand.
Yeah. So then they were fighting a little bit more about really what's going on in colleges and that type of forgiveness. But like when we are in weird situations like this, should we be doing all of this college forgiveness? I was looking a little bit into credit right here. How wild is this? Can I blow your mind right now? Can I blow your mind, Chris? Chris and I have been talking about this all day, so he's probably going to leave. But can I blow your mind right now? Total credit card debt in the U.S. is set to cross $1 trillion this year. In the last 3 months of 2022, U.S. credit card debt jumped $61 billion, the largest quarterly jump since 1999. According to a new report, 36% of U.S. adults have more credit card debt than savings. This is up from 21% in 2021 and also marks an all-time high. Meanwhile, the average interest rate on credit card debt is now up to a record 25%. Americans are, quote unquote, fighting inflation with credit card debt. The credit situation, like, look at this. Total outstanding credit card balances, 1999 to present. How does this end well? We're almost at $1 trillion, super high rates. We already have like other things going on, the debt limit. We have regional banks failing. Like, it feels like some sort of ticking time bomb is like gonna go off. And I feel like the date is in front of us. Like, I feel like whenever these things happen, we look back at it or we're in the middle of it and we're like, how did none of us see this going? And then like, in reality, there was always signs of it. There's always signs somewhere. Like these giant financial issues don't just like come out of nowhere overnight. So here we are looking at a regional banking crisis. We're looking at hyper polarization in our politics. Also, just within the U.S. in general, there's obviously a lot of like, according to the media, a ton of race relation issues, which I think is more so in the mind of the media than like really in the hearts of like the average person in the US, but that's a whole different story. But anyway, it does add to it. We have crazy things going on with debt. Like we are going into some form of a recession. I believe we're already there. I don't think it'll be as bad as like people really think. We know the Fed's fighting really against the economy. We just came in at a 5-decade low of unemployment. We locked in at 3.4%. So the Fed's actively trying to get unemployment up. Like, there's just like, when unemployment is this low and then you see credit card situations this bad, what happens when unemployment bounces, gets higher? Of course you're going to have defaults, and then it's going to get worse because the defaults are going to come at very high interest payments of an average now of 25%. And that's just one aspect of it. And then, like, to top it all off, then you just get classic meme things like Pepe ripping faces off and going to the upside, and everyone's just like, it's a meme and I'd rather put my money there. It's just, I see wildness. I just see wildness across the board. And I think I feel bad at a certain point for people who don't have the time or maybe the ability or even the interest in paying attention to it. But then for us, the people in here who are paying attention to the markets, the political situation, really the overall economic situation, I think for us, it is just pure opportunity. I think for the people who are paying attention, you're not just going to be rewarded, but you're going to be rewarded handsomely, because I think there's going to be big movements, and inherently big money is made from big movements. So I think for us in here, I truly think we're A-okay. I really, really, really do. I think that we're going to be shrewd enough and timely enough to really crush some of these big moves that I am predicting will be really apparent over the next for the remainder of the calendar year. I think we're going to have swings to the upside, swings to the downside. I think we're going to have other unique opportunities like IEP. I mean, this one at one point I was up 1,500% on IEP. And that was like a 1-2 day move. And like, I think there's going to be more and more opportunities like this, just massive moves, which could lead to massive, massive gains if you are like paying attention, if you are paying attention to the right sector at the right time. So I think for us, it's going to lead to interesting opportunities. But I think the average person who's just whatever, they don't have the time, they don't have the money, they don't have the interest. I think a lot of average shows, like quote unquote average shows, are just going to get completely steamrolled by decisions from the Treasury Secretary, the Fed, and the overall government. I really, really do. Love the big movement in the morning. Unemployment low, but negative cash flow for workforce. Yeah, Gary, I mean, that's very much true, but there's other interesting things going on there, like as well. Like, I think it's actually even, and like, I'm not saying you're saying this or taking the opposite side. I think it's even like more complicated than that. We have interest movements in cash flow. We have interesting movements in the credit situation. We even have interesting upticks in the difficulty to get credit. So we're in this situation where credit's really hard to get. Unemployment's low. The Fed's actively trying to get it up. People are like having big, and we're going into an election year. That's really the sprinkles on top of this chaotic Sunday right now, is the fact that we're going into an election year. So of course, like the classic election cycle fighting, like infighting, political fighting, headline news, debates, that's all going to start like upticking as well. I think we're just getting to like pure insanity, which it'll be fun. It'll be a fun roller coaster, I suppose, for all of us. A fun roller coaster. Where are we at? Folks, don't forget, shout out to StreetBeat. They are the sponsor of today's stream. Happily partnered with them. Download the app. You can click on what's pinned to the top of chat, or you could just download it to your iPhone, to your Android. The key thing is putting in the code MATT, M-A-T-T, the code MATT. It's 4 letters. You guys can crush it. That's how you get the bonus of anywhere from 5 all the way up to 5,000, depending on the size of your initial deposit. This is a robo-advisor. You can do the normal buying and selling of stocks the way you would typically think of it. But on top of that, they have some pre-made trading strategies that do the buying and selling for you. Or you can leverage AI, really ChatGPT, within the app to make you your own trading strategies. It's really cool. It's really fun. I very much implore everyone to check it out. This app is free to download. Check it out, check it out, check it out. Use the code MATT, M-A-T-T, on the very first page so you can get that bonus cash when you do start using it. All in on Pepe. I mean, I own a little bit of Pepe. It's falling right now. I don't know if it's done or not. I see some questions about it. Is it? I don't know. It's a meme coin. Like, we all know it's just a matter of time until they get rugged. It's just a question of when. I see IEP is getting smacked. I already have a lotto play, so I'm not really worried about chasing it, but I would be watching this level, 3680. If IEP goes below and stays below 3680. I mean, this is a super easy support call out. We sold off, it found support, it bounced up, we made a new peak. We might be getting a breakdown here, so you could enter on that, risking $40, so you could get in around 36.50, inherently risking $3, and we'll just call it 50 cents. And then you're looking for the breakdown of 34 and then a breakdown of 30. Those would be the key levels I would be watching if this were to play out. But for that to happen, it needs to fall another 50 cents today. PACW just been selling off all day. KRE selling off, going flat. Wall selling off, now going flat. FHN sold off and then has been going flat ever since 9:45. Zion spiked and slowly selling off, a little flat right now. You can tell in the lack of volatility, the lack of liquidity, we're obviously heading into that midday session where things tend to be a bit more calm. Not always. Sometimes big people, like sizable traders, they like to take advantage of it. And a lot of the time, the midday session is really boring, but sometimes they know it's boring and people are on lunch, not paying attention. So some of the big players, they love to, if they're trying to make noise, they'll do their trades midday to cause spikes to the upside or like obviously potentially spikes to the downside. I can't sell my BBBY shares or buy on Webull. Well, yeah, it went to bankruptcy. It's now under BBBYQ, which is on the OTC market. You have to get OTC trading for that to work. We've talked about this, but you should have already been out of your BBBY. Like, it's on the OTC market now. It's bankruptcy. Like, it's trash. For the amount that we talked about BBBY in here, you really don't have an excuse to still be holding it. You really don't. I mean, it was pretty much done in August of September of last year when Ryan Cohen screwed everyone over and sold out. From there, it's done nothing but go down and down and down. It was in terms of retail, Reddit, FinTwit support, that plummeted. Their fundamentals were trash and were only going to get worse. And they were just really loaded up with other issues. And it just was a really bad situation. So to think, it was pure hopium. There was no legitimate social sentiment or fundamental reason to think that BBBY was somehow going to come back. Anyone know anything of Perry the BNB? I've never even heard of that. I miss the trivia games you used to have on Fridays. Yeah, we like to just bounce back and forth, try out different things. So we were doing that for a while last year, like the Payday Fridays, trivia games. This year, it's a little bit more focused on just others. You have to keep things fresh. You don't want to just keep doing the same thing over and over and over. And that's why this year we've been doing a little bit more gambling. We've been playing a little blackjack, a little roulette, just something fun. I don't know. Always willing to try out new things. I would be embarrassed to tell you I have BBBY after our talks. You can't sell on OTC? No, of course you can, but you have to have a brokerage that has access to OTC, or on your brokerage, you might have to apply for OTC trading, because that is not on what's the way you think of the New York Stock Exchange or the NASDAQ or IEX or ARC or any of that. Those are not OTC markets. Like OTC, over the counter, gray market, that's where a lot of bankruptcy things end up trading. I don't really trade that market at all, because if you don't think that the normal market isn't regulated enough, you're going to hate the OTC market because it has even less regulations. And most of the things on the OTC market are utter trash. A high majority of them are absolute utter trash. That's where a lot of companies end up going to die. You might hear of NASDAQ or New York Stock Exchange delistings or bankruptcies or whatever. They end up going onto the OTC market, and they're just left there until they eventually completely die. I get charged for OTC. Yeah, I use Fidelity for OTC. Yeah, you could totally trade it. And you can buy and sell on OTC. If I had to throw out some sort of statistical argument here, I would argue that most of the time on the OTC market, you're going to be a more profitable trader by going short than you are going long. If you're on the OTC market, you're most likely on it, whatever, an absurd amount, a high majority, a super majority is on the OTC market because they're absolutely horrible companies. Example, FRC. Yeah, FRC now trades on FRC as FRCB on the OTC market. So our FRCB now trading at 34 cents. BBBYQ. When you see the final thing ending in a Q, especially when it's 5 letters long, that typically means bankruptcy. And it's on the OTC market. It's just trash. Like, these are all trash. Eventually, I would bet that Mullen's going to end there. It'll most likely end up trading under MULNQ on the OTC market. It's not there yet. Depending on how things do or don't go with AMC, in terms of like the court case and they settled, if they can pull off the reverse split, they're going to be fine because it'll trade at a price above what they need to stay listed. But if it goes too low for too long, it could also get downgraded. That's why they're trying to do the reverse split so they don't get kicked off the NYSE, I believe is where it is. QQQ bankrupt. You heard it here first. They add another Q onto it. Yeah, ETFs don't. That's a funny one, but QQQQ. It becomes like the super Qs at that point. Pepe getting hit, Bitcoin getting hit. How's ETH doing? ETH trying to hold 1869, maybe bending around a little bit. Where are we at? IEP. Wait, is IEP bouncing or is it falling? Bouncing a little bit. Maybe coming down. I'm watching the 3680 level. Maybe the 3480. IEP looking a little heavy. Got a nice rally on Friday, but looks like people are using it. Maybe a bit of a short squeeze. Maybe a bit of longs just using this as exit liquidity, getting crushed right now. KRE, if we zoom out a little bit, sold hard from open. It is officially in the red. KRE is down 16 cents just from where it closed out on Friday. But look how it perfectly bounced here. This is why you need to know basic technical analysis. Look at where we bounced today. The low is 37.70. And then look at the low midday on Friday, 37.72. So people are, the reason this works is because there's enough people watching it that they're like, okay, that was a low. I'm going to throw a buy in there. And if it falls, I'll cut it. But if enough people buy and it ends up bouncing, and that's exactly why you see the reaction. Another level to pay attention to would be 37.20. So this, like, once you find an important level of support or resistance, it's important to mark it out because it'll most likely remain an important level of support or resistance, and support can become resistance, resistance can become support. Basically, once you have an important level, pay attention to it because there's a good chance that it will remain an important level. PACW has been selling off. Even though it's been selling off, it's still up almost 10% today, 9.5%. Selling. I'm watching the high just because that's resistance right now acting as support. And then below that, I'll be watching 521 wall. Once again, like PACW bounced up. We are bouncing off of this support, which is pretty much resistance and some consolidation support in like the mid 26s. That's where it bounced today. FHN right here, the level it's battling out is literally the highs from Friday. I mean, this is like from a technical perspective, this is working out very, very well. Zion literally sitting at the high, and where it bounced was pretty much other resistance levels that we saw at the end of the day. So I hope you're starting to see that pattern. How about a rum short report? What about it, William? How about a rum short report? The Kohrs thing. So Kohrs Research did come out with a short report. I don't think the company has publicly responded to it. I would assume that they will in their earnings, but I don't know. Kohrs Research is not really at the same respect level that Hindenburg Research is. If as a company, if Hindenburg Research comes after you, you have like a legitimate problem. Kohrs Research, it's a smaller outfit. I went through it, and there were some things I was like, on like a personal level, was able to like disprove right away. And then there were other things that they were trying to cite that I just didn't have the access to. So I had no idea. So for example, what I mean is the Kohrs Research report against Rumble, ticker symbol RUM, they had an issue with the fact that Rumble doesn't own their data centers. So Rumble is running its own cloud outfit. And then the short report was trying to say that they don't own the building. Okay, so they rent the building. Like, to me, some of the things that they were calling out in the short report literally made no sense. I was like, why does that matter? It's a new company. They don't have an endless amount of disposable income. I don't know if I necessarily want them to be wasting money on buying buildings when they could just rent. So that was like a big aspect of it that just made no sense to me whatsoever. Then there were a couple other things, and I guess I could make like a standalone video on it. So the things that I had access to or like data related to it, I was like, I don't necessarily agree with this. And then there were other things that they were just making claims that I don't even know how I would look into it. Like they were just making claims. They're like, we think this. I was like, okay, you could think that, but like, where are your sources on it? But also Rumble, I mean, the shorts, it worked for like a day or two. Like if you look at the daily chart, it came out around here on the Wednesday or Thursday, the 26th to 27th. So it worked for a day or two. And now the shorts are getting their face ripped off. And in fact, it looks like we're actually having a technical breakout at 960. I'd be watching 950, 10, and 1050. Every 50-cent increment does seem to be important from a technical level. Would love for it to recapture this trend line. But really, I wanted to get above and hold above 1050. We can look at Ortex and see what they are reporting on RUM after the Kohrs research report. For me, I don't actively trade Rumble ever. I'm just sitting on the shares. If there was a giant short squeeze, I would probably lock in my gains, let it come back down, and then just reinvest. But it is maxed out. Ooh, you guys can't see it. The utilization is 100% against RUM right now. The cost to borrow is 59%. Shares on loan, 14.77 million. The short interest appears to be 19.32%. Estimated short interest of free float, 9.6%. Where's the cost to borrow? I want to see this live short interest right here. Cost to borrow. Oh, cost to borrow. The average is 288% today. So that's what happens when your utilization maxes out. Inherently, your short interest can't go that much higher if your utilization's already maxed out. So in terms of right now, it just seems like no one else is willing to lend out their shares, but shorts are definitely betting against Rumble, which becomes interesting because it is a low float stock, which means the lower the float, the more volatile it could be. So right here, these shares on loan, the 14.77 million, that's maxed out. It's 100%. So if it keeps going up, if they have earnings a week from today, if it's good earnings, yeah, of course the shorts could get squeezed. But for me, unless it's like a mega squeeze, like I'm talking really, really high, it doesn't matter because I'm invested in this. I do not actively trade Rumble. I had one small purchase, one large purchase. My average is around 950, so I'm slightly in the green right now. Other than that, I'm just sitting because I'm obviously a content creator on Rumble. I've met the team. I like what's going on. It's a new company, so obviously they're in user and content creation acquisition mode right now. They're not really in the mode of like, let's like make the highest profits possible. That's just not the phase of business that they're in. But ever since the short report came out, yeah, there were like 2 pretty bad days, but ever since then, we've just had a super strong rally to the upside. So I'm watching $10, and then I would love to get above and hold above 950, which was the high that we got on February 2nd. But once again, I cannot stress enough, I'm not actively trading it. I've just invested in it. I bought stocks. I wouldn't be silly the way I was with AMC or GME. If there is a squeeze, of course, I would take my profits and then I would let it come back down and then I would just invest again when it's cheap. Like you have to understand in these squeeze scenarios, like what we saw in GME in January, like what we saw in AMC in June, squeezes do not hold at that value. Even Pepe. I don't know if Pepe is done or isn't done. It might be a momentary thing, but when you squeeze, there's always mean reversion. I shouldn't say always. I should always stay away from saying such like, I guess, 100% guarantee words like that. A high majority of the time, when you squeeze, you come down. Of course, you could squeeze again. That's a possibility. But there was a lot of people I remember at the moment with the craziness in GME, Doge, AMC, and Shiba. And they were confused. And when we got to this level, they thought it was like almost a guarantee that you stay there. That's not how these commonly work. A high majority of the time, you go sky high, and as quickly as you went up, you come down even more quickly. So I think that's an important note for all of us to have in our head. There is it's called mean reversion, MEAN, mean reversion, a return to the average. So you can look at your average values, you can look at the breakout values, but to just squeeze and stay at that level, and that's what you're playing for, I mean, it's just not a good idea. Can I blow your mind right now? Can I blow your mind right now? Historians tell us that they find pottery from ancient civilizations. But do you know what you need to make pottery? You need looking for a Matt short interest report. Wait, what? Cost to borrow 220%. Kohrs cost to borrow is extremely expensive. Any chance for a squeeze? Cost to borrow, I've seen no useful data points that suggest as cost to borrow goes up, the chance of a squeeze also increases. I've seen no correlation that is suggestive of that. There are many stocks that just seemingly sit at very expensive levels and don't squeeze. What prompts a squeeze is price action going up. There, like all of this, it's a pre-flight checklist. You need to have a high amount of shorts. A higher cost to borrow would obviously be helpful, but really think of all of that stuff as gasoline in a tin can. Think about even if on the options market, a lot of like YOLOs, short dated, out of the money calls. All of that stuff is just gasoline. That's all it is. But the match, the thing that really makes it all explosive is price action. So if you looked at whatever, Rumble or any of these, Doge, Shiba, AMC, GME, like you name it, you need that upward price action because that's the thing that actually puts pressure on shorts. A lot of people, they cite these numbers of absurdly high cost to borrow, but remember, that's not what they're paying on a daily basis. It's not even close to it. That's if they were to hold for an entire year. And a lot of these shorts aren't holding for an entire year. They're in it for whatever, a couple days, couple weeks. Like, so it's just a fraction of it. But I see, especially on FinTwit, a lot of people being enamored with the cost to borrow report. And it's something to look at for sure. But understand, just because something is arbitrarily high, that the cost to borrow that is, that's not going to prompt buying. You need some form of buying. You need positive, aggressive price action. That is the match to the situation. DXY, SPY, both trending up. One has to give. Who will blink first? Yeah. Let's see what the dollar index is doing. It is going up. Yeah, one of them is going to blink. I see regional banks coming down. Wall got back green. So we have a mixed bag. KRE is in the red. Wall was in the red. FHN is in the red. So I would love for all of these to go more red. I want PACW. I mean, just like the lowers, the better. The lower, the better. But we're clearly seeing a bit of weakness. PACW has done nothing but sell off today. I think that pop was just used as exit liquidity. I mean, I think there could be, what we could have witnessed was a bit of a squeeze in these regional banks. I think it started to go up, and the shorts who are already up a lot of money, they're like, well, okay, we're up money. Let's just take out. Matt, sell your FAMC? No. I mean, as of now, it's just going to sit in public. I probably could use that money for better things, but hey, whatever. I think there's other things I need to consider in that particular situation. AMC and GME are not, quote unquote, like normal trades or investments. They're not the way I think of whatever, PACW, Wall, Tesla, Apple, or any of that. Gold and silver. Gold's been doing very, very well recently. Very, very well. I mean, over the past year or over the past handful of months, it's just been crushing it. GC right here, it's sitting above 2,000. Did it officially tag an all-time high? Let me see. Let's see. I think last week it might have made an all-time high. No, almost. Very, very close. So we're essentially at, or we were at all-time high levels. And then when things calm down on Friday, gold, remember, gold's going to move inversely. It's thought of as a place where people store money when things are going awry. So things were going awry, and then things settled down on Friday, so then gold fell. It's inversely correlated. So almost hit an all-time high. Very, very close. Obviously, 2089.2 is the all-time high. And on Thursday of last week, we hit 2085.4. So within spitting distance. And right now, we're just chilling a little bit. So gold, I mean, I like it. I should be invested in more of it. If you don't want to trade futures, you could look at GLD. Once again, GLD does have an upside gap fill. The risk reward, not bad right now. You could risk 185. You could risk 183. And then you're looking for a test and a breakout of 191. Maybe target a nice value like 200, maybe 195. What do we have here? 193. That's not right. 194.50, something like that. So you could look at GLD. Silver's looking pretty good too. Copper not looking the best. The SPY sold all the way down to 411.66. Remember that level we were talking about? And never broke it. 4,140. Look at how low we got. We got as low as 4,141. We never broke that support level. The support level, surprise, surprise, acted as support. That was a viable buying opportunity. We were literally talking about it because you buy there, and if it breaks down, you take a small cut. But if you're right and it bounces, you can make a nice mean reverting trade. So the SPY had a nice mean reversion, getting smacked a little bit here where it did like 10 minutes into the day. Pay attention to the dollar. If you all of a sudden, and I'm not talking about a slow bleed, I'm saying like if out of nowhere you see regional banks drop today, probably it will drag the SPY with it. Fubo, at this point, I'm just wondering if there's anything that would cause NVIDIA to ever come down. I mean, once again, I think that's a good mean reversion argument. I think NVIDIA is just so high. Like, it's just trading at such a multiple. I wouldn't invest here. Obviously, it's been a really fun trade to the upside. But NVIDIA, I love NVIDIA. I'm not buying it here. It's simply too expensive. What I do want to point out to you is CRM. Pay attention to Salesforce for a breakout above 200. Looks like it got smacked there this morning. So look at a breakout and a hold of 200. Then you can watch 205, 210. I talked about this in more detail with Mike from TTG yesterday. So feel free to watch that stream. Tesla, when it gapped up this morning, I was looking to that upside gap fill at 177.65. Hasn't come yet. When it gets there, if it starts to turn back around, I might get some puts against Tesla. Amazon, let's check in on this one. Not really doing anything, just going sideways. If Amazon can hold 106, yeah, you might be talking about 110. But obviously, if you're talking about any of these big tech plays, you have to be paying attention to the cues. 324, that's the line in the sand. 323, maybe some change, really 324. If you get the breakout in the hold, yes, the push will most likely continue, but it could easily get smacked there and be forced to return down to 312. So watch that in the cues. What else do we have? IEP, this is the car. Ooh, Icons is breaking down. If I didn't already have a position, I would probably strongly consider getting a position here, and I would just risk 40. That's it. I have a good entry. I bought at a breakdown. You could wait. I mean, it is volatility. You might want to wait till midday to see if this is a failed bounce or not, but my risk would be $40, and you basically be betting on the earnings call this Wednesday going completely awry. So a bit of a binary bet, but I already have a position, so I have no need to load up anymore. Bud, what's going on with Bud? Just chopping sideways. Not really. I mean, you can look at the breakdown of 63.50 or the breakout of 66.50. It's mid-range. You have to wait on that one. Apple crushing it. Apple looking good. I'd be watching this trend line. It's been in this upward wedge for a while. Strong resistance at 176. All-time highs like 183 and some change. Almost hit 3 trillion. I would just be careful because it does seem like an overextension. So I don't know if I'd be loving to really, like, you could play 176, but I think past that, I'm not really liking it, especially with this gap down to 167 that will eventually get filled. Top, dead. This is another low float Chinese play. It squeezed, pump, dump, dead. This play is over. SPY ENVX. I believe this is one of Mark Cohodes' call out. Like, I think he really likes this company. I don't know much about it. Strong rally recently. You're looking for the breakout of 1325. From there, you can watch 1450. There is a downside gap fill to like 1185 maybe-ish. I feel it feels a little chasey right here. I just have to do, like, it's showing strength. I don't know if I love the risk reward. The risk seems right now higher than the reward for a swing trade. I would have to look into it though, if like maybe I would want to invest in it. I just don't know much about what the company does do or doesn't do. Fubo, a lot of you have been watching Fubo. had a good earnings. It's continuing. Once again, if you got into it early, congrats. But to get into it right now, the risk reward seems a little bit wonky just because your risk is this downside gap fill to 118. And I don't know if I necessarily want to risk 33%. There is an upside gap fill. It seems like it's going for. It's too close. Upside gap. Oh, no, I already hit that one. So scratch that. The next upside gap fill is 215 to a key technical level, a key psychological level. Pay attention to that. But to me, it's showing strength. It had good earnings. DraftKings also had good earnings. It's just the risk reward. I don't know if I want to risk 32% to gain 22%. Like, it's just, it has the momentum, but I'm late to the play. Like, I should have been in early if I wanted to play it. Just because you feel like something's bullish or bearish doesn't mean that's the right time to get in, because you still have to consider your risk to reward. Ideally, KRE and Wall and PACW are all going to start cratering soon. I feel like I'm just like awkwardly waiting around for them. And who knows, I might be waiting for a while. I would have loved for the crater to come on Friday, but I guess that's not what the market gods are currently giving me. Carvana, pretty much dead, right? No? Okay. I mean, I was noticing it gapped up and went red. What I would be looking at on Carvana is as soon as it snaps 876, I'd be looking for a gap fill to 740. I think that's the play on Carvana. This play pumps, it dumps. It pumps, it dumps. It pumps, and I think we're just waiting for the next dump. Your risk would be the high of 1122. I wouldn't be going long on this. I would be looking for weakness, and I would attack the weakness. It's just, I'm looking at the history of Carvana. All it is pump dump, pump dump, pump up. Like, this does not have a nice trend to the upside. Some people are calling out Intel. What's going on with Intel? Wedge, Intel. I'd be watching one of these two wedge variations. Right now, it's mid-wedge. Can't do anything. Wait for the breakout. Wait for the breakdown. I like semiconductors, but I do like NVIDIA the best. I like AMD second best. So I probably, if I'm going to be going bullish on something, I would do it on NVIDIA. It's just my favorite semiconductor play. If you want to play the industry at large, you can look at the ETF SMH. This is the VanEck semiconductor ETF. So it's exposure to the whole semiconductor industry. If you don't want to pick your like favorite company out of them all, I like SMH. I mean, I still, IEP is breaking down. Is there a play there? Oh, brother. Do I want to play IEP? Hang on. Hang on. Let me log into my account. I haven't even done it yet because I didn't want to see where my account was at today. IEP. Let's look at it. IEP. Positions. Nope. Options. IEP. May 19th. May 19th. Weeble's making me update. Are you kidding me? Right now, in front of all of my friends? All right, we're doing a Weeble update, but it's reasonable risk to reward. You could just risk $40. I was trying to look at my lotto play. I am seeing some weakness. Finish. Hang on, I'm looking at IEP. Chart. IEP. Cool. Options. The 19th. What are these puts at? All right. I guess I could get some 30s. All right, I got a couple more IEP. I mean, I'm still playing with the house's money on it because I made 10K and I just have 2 lotto positions. I have some $20 puts and some $30 puts for May 19th. The $20 puts was like the pure lotto position, and that was 2K. And then I just put another, I think, 2K into it. So I'm risking a little less than half the money I made on it to see if this thing continues to vomit. I was looking for the breakdown of 36.75. It is breaking down. The next level I care about is obviously the support that it found on Friday's trading session at 34.80. But what I want you to know about this is, first of all, just because I'm doing something does not mean you should do it. You should do your own research. You should have your own confidence in the play. But I do want to call out a risk to you is that Wednesday, in 2 days, they have their earnings report. So it could go either way. They can announce something amazing and there's a huge gap up, or they can announce something awful and it could die. It is a super risky play. It's a binary event. This isn't like, yeah, I mean, if it vomits today, maybe like if it comes down to like 32 or something, yeah, I might take some of my money off and keep the other lotto play. Like maybe the one I just got into, maybe I'll take those profits, but that's a big if. Like it would have to fall. I mean, I don't think that it will unless something starts to get announced. Another 12%. If that happens, yeah, it would be kind of silly to not take some profits. So I would take some profits. But I do want you to know that we're getting to a binary event. A binary event. 50-50. How lucky are you feeling? Oh, wow. It's already 11:30. Well, time flies when you're having fun. I don't know. I did not realize what time it is. What do I have stuff to do today? What do I have to do today? I have to talk to my producer. I have a meeting at 2:30. I have a meeting at 2:30 tomorrow. I should go to the gym. I need to read another chapter of that book. I have that coding chat. I have to talk to a sponsor. I could hang out for a little bit more. I feel like we're not. Roadhouse. We're all going to the Roadhouse. Let's see how Texas Roadhouse is doing. It's been falling a little bit, which I like because I want to be able to get it below 100. It's just been so strong lately that I just need to set an alert here. Add alert. It's probably going to go off because these daily alerts are stupid. Nope, that one didn't go off. I don't know how it makes up its mind, but I would love to get Texas Roadhouse below 100. Honestly, in the low 90s would be even better. What is this low? Would love to buy Texas Roadhouse on the dip. I'm not going to chase it at a top because why would I do that? Texas Roadhouse, don't own it yet, but very excited. So in the short term, I'm rooting against it, but in my heart, I'm always hoping that it just rips to the high heavens. IEP die on the earnings report, please and thank you. Yeah, as he loses billions of dollars and we're trying to make a couple thousand. Isn't it kind of funny that all of us, like, let's be honest with each other. Is there a shadow? Do I have a bump on my head that makes a shadow right here? What is that? Do I have a wonky shaped head? Hang on, let's go big screen on this. Like, do you guys see a slight shadow? Do I have a bump right here? Oh my God, I do. Where the fuck did this bump come from? It's like a really slight bump. And I think it's my skull. It's not like a pimple or something because this would hurt. Dude, I think I have a bump in my skull. What? When the fuck did that happen? The Matrix is after you. Oh, man. Well, that's a shock. All right. Well, that's something now we all know. It's a horn. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like right where Harry Potter got hit. You guys know? KRE just made a fresh low of the day. PAC-W's just been bleeding off, looking for wall to capitulate below 2650. All right, so IEP's in the red, looking for that. Once again, 34 is important. I'm buying this breakdown in the mid 36s, but I want it to get below and stay below and close below and trade a lot of volume below $34. KRE is in the red. PACW still up 2%. Wall just went red once again, down 15 cents on the day. FHN is down by 16 cents, and Zion is down by 3 cents. So PACW is the last major one holding on in the regional banking sector that I would just like for it to go red. And that's actually the one that's been trending downward the hardest all day. It just had such a dramatic gap up that's why it's still green. So I think that gap up, I think you had shorts covering. I think you have longs liquidating right now. I think there's a lot of big players that they're thinking to themselves, why am I even risking holding on to these stocks? It's just, you never know if it's going to go like kaput. Definitely a tumor. Well, thanks for making me feel better about it, guys. Now I'm not worried at all. Don't be embarrassed about the bump on your head. You're thick in all the right places. I tried to do the stair stepper again yesterday, and I just vomited emotionally, not realistically, but I felt like I was in I was just not straight up. I was not having a good time. All right, so I just need PACW to fall 15 more cents. 15 more cents, por favor. So basically, it just needs to get down to like, I don't know, 575. And then we're in the red. And then that's the start of it. Once again, here are the major breakdown levels. IEP, which is not a bank, but it is a play where I'm paying attention to. I have no idea if you are or aren't. Below 36.80, this was support. It bounced. It slashed through it. We're noticing a break here. The next test for me is 34. This is an incredibly important level. Well, really just all of the 34 up to 34.80, because I saw some support there, some resistance there. So first intraday stop, probably 34.80, but I really care about 34. And then from there, I would love for it to crack 32, which sets up a test of 30. Now, if we look at the regional banking sector, it popped up. It put in a lower high than where it was before. That's a sign of weakness, because when it sold, it bounced to 40, got smacked, and then it was able to get above 37.50, pushed all the way up to 39.50, undershooting this high by 50 cents. And now we're slicing through supports. So I'd be in the short term watching 37.50, then 37 matters, and then 36 matters. That was the overall sector. Now, arguably the weakest bank, now that SVB, Signature, and Silvergate all blew up, and then FRC. After FRC, the next weakest one is PACW. We know that because the company has already publicly said that they are looking for strategic partnerships and alternatives, which is exactly what all these other players said before they literally essentially went to zero. So PAC West getting essentially squeezed. I mean, it went as low as 259, and from that moment to its peak, it went up 210%. A little bit squeezy McSqueezy. I was worried because it overshot the highs here. It overshot 750, but obviously it's shown a bit of weakness now. So in the short term, I'd be looking for this breakdown of 526. Why is that important? Well, it was the low back here on Tuesday, May the 2nd. It was the support that was found midday on Friday. So basically 525, 526, look for the breakdown in the hole below that. And then obviously you could be paying attention to like the 4 to 425 region in here. That would be the next up. Wall is the next weakest one after PAC West. So we are currently watching, why is this not working? 26.50. We're currently trading. We actually bounced off of that. Look exactly where we bounced. That is the exact low that we saw on Tuesday. This is another just great example of why once you have an important price level, you pretty much should be paying attention to it. So this low was 26.54, and today we bounced off of 26.51. So it was off by 3 cents. And also it was resistance, a bit of consolidation in here. I'm just trying to drive home the point of once an important level, it typically remains an important price level. So pay attention to that. FHN, the only reason I'm really watching this one was I thought it was interesting that they were supposed to get acquired by TD, and then TD pulled the rug on them between the Wednesday and Thursday session. That's why there was such a dramatic sell-off right here. So I'm just generically betting against them as well. I find it really sus that TD pulled out of the deal. So I'm looking for a breakdown below 1020, currently trading at 1080. Zion, after PacWest, after Wall, I would argue this is kind of up there with MCB as like the next weakest one. I'm just betting on the weakest ones that I possibly can. And obviously we would be looking at some of these lows somewhere in this region, roughly 23.15 to 23. So the low 23s, and we're trading at 24 right now. Those are the major levels of support I'm watching across the board. If we look at the SPY, sold off, came back, we're battling it out the same zone we were on Wednesday. If it ends up snapping 411, then we're talking 409. If it snaps 411, I'd be watching 409. But as of now, it's not really like we were looking weak and now things are bouncing in that whole breakdown I was just giving you. We sold off, we bounced. These regional banks did not bounce that much, but they all did find support. See how the SPY's bouncing right here, the 5-minute on PACW, Wall, and KRE, a green one. So this might be the last hurrah, kind of like an Alamo type of a situation of if they could pull it off, they might get the bounce here. This could be the low, 11:30. We've seen a ton of daily pivots come at roughly this time. However, if this bounce is weak and it's kind of like a bouncing ball and it's losing more and more energy, if it comes down and tests again and breaks through it, it could lead to some form of a capitulation. Now, am I speaking with a little bit of bias? Of course I fucking am. Of course. I mean, does a bear shit in the woods? Of course, even subconsciously, I am going to be biased towards my own positions. I attempt to be as neutral as I can and look at even I'm telling you that there is a chance of a regional bank short squeeze. There's a lot of banks or a lot of shorts loading up. And if the price action starts to go up, they could get utterly screwed. So I'm trying to be neutral here as best as I can, but there's also probably a bit of a bias in what I have to say, because I think that's just called like being a human. In reality, is talking a little bit of your own book. But that's what I have for you. I hope you enjoyed it. Here's the plan. The team and I, we're going to be putting together a wrap-up video for you. So that will be coming out tonight. Whether you're on Rumble or YouTube, make sure your notifications are on. When you click on that bell icon, switch it over. There's like a drop-down right by the side of it. And instead of personalized, switch it to always. So you always get my notifications, whether it's a video or a stream, because people have been having serious issues with it. So don't forget to drop a like. Don't forget to subscribe. Obviously, show a little bit of love to Street Beat. I highly recommend you all download it just to see what it's all about. Just to see if it's a platform that's for you. Make sure you're putting in the code MATT. So obviously they know I sent you there, because the more people that sign up under the MATT group, they actually will end up building specialty things for us if there's enough of us like asking for the same thing. So use that code MATT, M-A-T-T. It'll be on the very first page when you download it to your iPhone or your Android. So that's going to be it for today. If something wild happens in the market, I will stream again. You should always know that. That's just going to be a standing rule, that if something wild happens out of nowhere, you could look for me to stream. So I'm going to put that out there just in case there is craziness today. I'm not saying there will or won't be, but just in case. Don't forget, Wednesday of this week is CPI. Thursday of this week is PPI. Friday of this week is consumer sentiment. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday all have a slight bearish seasonality connotation. Friday has a very bullish connotation. We have some earnings coming out. The major one is probably Disney on Wednesday. There's 4 Fed members speaking. And I think that's it. I think that's pretty much everything you need to know. And in terms of my positions, I'm betting against the overall market, IEP, KRE, and the major players within KRE. So I'm betting against the overall market, Carl Icahn's thing, and then the regional banking sector. Those are my positions as of now. And that's it. I think that's all I have for you. So I appreciate all the good vibes. I appreciate all the love. Thank you. I'll catch you later. I hope you have a beautiful day. Peace out.